Chapter 137. Ghost Suppression Talisman. Qin Yun took out a few sabers and stopped in his tracks. He said, "Quickly use the Imperial Spirit technique and control the weapon to attack the ghost beasts behind us." Xiao Yuemei nodded and took out her weapon. She injected her mental power into it and controlled the sword to stab out. Roar, roar, roar. In front of them, many roaring ghost beasts appeared. There were all sorts of beasts, and only a small portion of these ghost beasts had human limbs. "Kill!" Qin Yun shouted. His two sabers flew out and killed two black leopards that were running towards him. Under the control of his mental power, the two sabers flew very fast. With a schwa sound, they chopped towards the two leopard heads, splitting them in half. The two leopards were killed in an instant. Xiao Yuemei also used her sword to stab the two wolves to death. More and more ghost beasts attacked. There were dozens of them that swarmed over like a swarm of bees. They let out bursts of roars and roars with great momentum. The evil beast power that burst out from his body was like a tidal wave, breaking a large number of trees. Qin Yun was alarmed. He hugged Xiao Yuemei and used his footwork to destroy the fire-flowing cloud. He flew in the air and dodged the dozen or so ghost beasts that were pouncing towards him. A horde of beasts can also use mental force attacks. When they roar, they can release a very strong mental force. If they are not prepared, they will definitely be attacked by that mental force. Xiao Yuemei still had a lingering fear in her heart. Looking at the ghost beasts chasing after her, she controlled her sword to stab down. Qin Yun said, "These ghost beasts can't fly, and I can move agilely in the air, avoiding their concentrated attacks." Xiao Yuemei nodded and said, "You are in charge of running in the air. I will attack the ghost beast." She controlled the sword to pierce through the heads of the ghost beasts with great precision, killing the evil spirits inside. Very quickly, she killed a few ghost beasts. Qin Yun observed carefully and discovered that some of the ghost beasts seemed to be able to sense each other. At the same time, they let out a howl into the air and used sound waves to attack him. Fortunately, he was always able to avoid this mental energy shockwave. If he couldn't fly, it would be very difficult to avoid the concentrated attacks of the ghost beasts. In just a moment, the area that was originally filled with towering ancient trees was instantly flattened. The tree trunks were trampled to pieces by the ghost beasts. Some of the ghost beasts could even release a blood-red flame. "Quickly go over there. Kill those big ones," Xiao Yuemei said anxiously. "These guys know how to use thunder and lightning power." Qin Yun also saw a few large black bears with blood-red lightning flickering on their bodies. Boom! A few bolts of lightning suddenly struck him. Qin Yun released a surge of vibrating inner force to block the incoming lightning. However, he was still struck by the lightning and was in great pain. After absorbing most of the lightning power, Xiao Yuemei was not hit. "Are you all right?" Xiao Yuemei controlled her sword and flew over, stabbing a bear to death. "It doesn't matter. Hurry up and kill them." Qin Yun focused all his energy on flying and dodging. He cannot attack, Xiao Yuemei is the one attacking. When Xiao Yuemei saw that Qin Yun was injured, she attacked faster and faster. Her mental power also became even more violent. That flying sword became even more ferocious. In a few blinks of an eye, it stabbed those few big bears. "I'll use the spirit concentration kill to deal with these little things." Xiao Yuemei controlled her sword to kill the ghost beasts while using the spirit concentration kill to deal with the weaker ghost beasts. Qin Yun carried Xiao Yuemei on his back and quickly moved through the air. Although many ghost beasts jumped up, it was useless. After half a cup of tea's time, more than half of the 100 or so ghost beasts on the ground had been killed. The remaining ones had not died, and had only been knocked unconscious by the spirit concentration kill. "I've finally killed it. That was really close." Xiao Yuemei came to the ground and let out a light breath. She had been extremely nervous just now. After Qin Yun landed on the ground, He used the Imperial Spirit technique to control his weapon to kill the unconscious ghost beast. "Hey, you were hit just now. Are you alright?" Xiao Yuemei asked with concern. "I'm fine." Qin Yun was injured, but he had light inscription equipment on him, so he could quickly heal himself. In a moment, all the ghost beasts were killed. Qin Yun had no choice but to take out the 2 storage spirit artifacts he had snatched from before to store the corpses of the ghost beasts. If you don't use your mental energy to attack, once you get close to the ghost beasts, they will use their mental energy to affect your consciousness. So when dealing with ghost beasts, you absolutely cannot get close. Xiao Yuemei looked at the black blood all over the ground and revealed a smile. "Looks like it will be much easier for us to kill so many ghost beasts in an instant." Qin Yun said, "We have to suppress the ghost beasts in the storage space so that we can store more. We have to kill 200 ghost beasts to maintain first place." Xiao Yuemei nodded and took out her martial spirit mirror. She continued to sense the surrounding souls. She frowned, her face full of shock. "There's another horde of ghost beasts nearby. Why are there so many?" Qin Yun's voice was solemn as he said, "I just observed. The attacks of these ghost beasts are all in an orderly manner. It's as if there's something secretly giving them orders. The horde of ghost beasts is moving very slowly, unlike the fast attacks from before." Xiao Yuemei said, "Could it be that they are all those big bears? Those giant bear ghost beasts that were a few meters tall could shoot out very strong lightning. They were also something that Qin Yun was rather afraid of. Just now, there were only a few of them and they were able to injure him. If it was a large group, he could only run." "How many?" Qin Yun asked. "How long will it take?" "About 80. Their speed is very slow. They walk and stop. According to their current speed, it will take them about an hour to arrive." Xiao Yuemei said, "If we want to run, it won't be a problem at all." Qin Yun rubbed his chin, as if he was seriously thinking about something. After thinking for a while, he said, "I forgot to try the evil suppression talisman just now." "Evil suppression talisman? Is it really useful?" Xiao Yuemei also hoped that it would be useful. This way they wouldn't have to fight so hard. "Let's give it a try." Qin Yun said, "Wait for me here. I'll go take a look first." "Alright, be careful," Xiao Yuemei warned. Qin Yun used the flame destroyer flowing cloud and walked in the air, heading in the direction of the ghost beast horde. Not long after, he saw the trees in front of him fall down in rows. They were pushed down by giant black tortoises. The tortoises were very big and their shells were more than 10 meters wide. There were a total of 80 giant tortoises and their bodies were filled with a strong evil aura. Furthermore, they flickered with traces of lightning. They were giant tortoise ghost beasts that could use the power of lightning. "It's so big, it'll definitely take a lot of effort to fight." Qin Yun threw out an evil suppression talisman. When it landed on the ground, a gust of wind erupted, enveloping dozens of meters. The power of the evil suppression talisman actually had an effect. The few giant tortoises that were enveloped by the evil suppression talisman were unable to move, as if they had fallen asleep. The other giant tortoises on the ground also discovered Qin Yun. The tortoise shells shook violently as a blood-colored bolt of lightning shot out from the center of the tortoise shell at Qin Yun. Boom boom boom. Chapter 138. Soul Essence. Qin Yun returned to where Xiao Yuemei was and told her what had happened. "There are too many of these big turtles. If we kill them all, we won't be able to store all of them." Xiao Yuemei said with a frown, "From your description, they are all very strong. It will definitely be very difficult to fight them." "That's right. However, the value of the giant tortoise is very high. The tortoise shell can emit lightning, so there might be something inside. If we sell it, we will definitely be able to make a huge profit. I estimate that it will be worth at least 100,000 crystal coins." Qin Yun felt that it was a great pity. "Are you sure the things inside these tortoises can be sold for that much?" When Xiao Yuemei heard that it was worth 100,000 crystal coins each, she was extremely moved. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a strange light. Qin Yun looked in the direction where the giant tortoise was coming from and said with a nod, "It should be. These giant tortoises need to first absorb spiritual energy and then gather it in their bodies. After transforming it, they can condense it into thunder attribute inner force and then release it to attack. When the time comes, I just need to go over and throw down the evil suppression talisman to suppress the evil spirits in the tortoise's body. Then, you can go and kill those evil spirits. It won't be too strenuous to fight." Xiao Yuemei was extremely moved when she heard this and nodded in agreement. If it was really that valuable, she would be able to obtain a large amount of crystal coins after selling it. In the future, if she wanted to completely get rid of the Tian Shao imperial family, she would need to accumulate a large amount of wealth. "All right, then I'll cooperate with you." After Qin Yun convinced Xiao Yuemei, he flew forward with her and placed her on the ground as they approached the group of giant tortoises. He floated in the air and said, "Yuemei, when you hear my shout, quickly rush over." Xiao Yuemei nodded, took out her sword and looked at the sky. In front of them, rumbling sounds could be heard. Those giant tortoises were pushing down large trees as they majestically approached. Qin Yun used flame cloud steps in the air and held a large handful of evil suppression talismans in his hand. After arriving above the group of giant tortoises, he accurately scattered them at many points below, covering all the giant tortoises. After the giant tortoises were covered, they seemed to have suddenly fallen asleep. The evil spirits attached to the giant tortoise were suppressed by the power of the evil suppression talisman and were unable to control the giant tortoise's body for a short period of time. "Yuemei, attack!" Qin Yun shouted. The few giant turtles that were covered by the evil suppression talisman could actually move now. This meant that the giant turtles could break through the power of the evil suppression talisman. The suppression talisman could only delay for a while. Qin Yun also swooped down to the ground and controlled a few knives to stab into the giant tortoise's head. He injected his mental energy and wiped out the evil spirits inside. Xiao Yuemei is controlling a long sword and a few short swords to quickly harvest the evil spirits. 80 giant turtles were killed by them in an instant. Your evil suppression talisman is really useful. You should have used it when we were surrounded. Xiao Yuemei giggled, jumped onto the back of a huge turtle and said, "Is there really something inside the turtle's body?" When Qin Yun released the power of his essence soul, it entered the giant tortoise's body. He could sense a ball of very pure mental energy. The strength of the giant tortoise actually far surpasses that of many ghost beasts, it's just that its movements are slow. The evil soul inside is still very powerful, so to be able to cultivate a spirit crystal inside the giant tortoise's body, that should be the legendary soul essence. He used the power of his primordial spirit to seep into the giant tortoise's body, drawing out a green crystal that was like a green pearl. It was extremely beautiful. "It's really a soul essence." Xiao Yuemei was extremely shocked. This thing can be used to refine a spirit artifact. A spirit artifact was a type of spirit artifact that was suitable for using mental power to control. It was said that when refining it, a large amount of soul essence was needed. This kind of thing is very rare. Don't sell it. Hurry up and take it out. Xiao Yuemei was very excited. If I had a spirit artifact and used the Imperial Spirit technique to control it, it would be even more convenient. Qin Yun used the power of his primordial spirit to extract all the soul essence from the giant tortoise's body. Even if they couldn't take away the corpses here, it didn't matter because they had already obtained the most precious soul essence. Very quickly, Qin Yun obtained 80 soul essences. "I'll leave the soul essence with you for now. In the future, refine a spirit essence treasure for me." Xiao Yuemei said with a happy smile, "Remember, don't use it yourself." Qin Yun said with a smile, "Don't worry." He looked at the giant turtles and felt that it was a pity. He couldn't take them away and they took up a lot of storage space, so he could only leave them here. Xiao Yuemei was extremely puzzled. She stood on the shell of a giant turtle and looked in the direction of the giant turtle. She said, "Why are there so many ghost beasts? And they're coming for us." Along the way, the giant tortoise had pushed down a large number of giant trees. Looking at it now, it was very flat. Qin Yun said with a frown, "These giant turtles are all water turtles. Could it be that they ran out from the Cloud Dragon River? Quickly take out the mirror and see if there are any ghost beasts nearby." After Xiao Yuemei took out the mirror, she said with a smile, "There's only one ghost beast nearby. There's no ghost beast horde nearby. It seems like we've killed them all." As she spoke, she skipped forward. Qin Yun followed behind her and looked at the evil suppression talismans in his storage space. He muttered, "There are still 70 of them. I only used 30 or so just now." Not long after, they heard the sound of a surging river in front of them. "The Cloud Dragon River is indeed ahead." Xiao Yuemei giggled and said, "That ghost beast seems to be hiding in the river." Qin Yun also saw the Cloud Dragon River. The river was more than 10,000 meters wide. The water was rapid and the waves churned. Strong winds blew and the momentum was terrifying. Xiao Yuemei also slowed down her pace. The smile on her face disappeared and her expression gradually became solemn. The Cloud Dragon River is truly terrifying. It is said that on the other side of the Cloud Dragon River is the most terrifying place in the Cloud Dragon mountain range. Xiao Yuemei's eyes revealed incomparable curiosity. Qin Yun had also heard of such rumors. If he wanted to pass through the Cloud Dragon mountain range in the future and head to the martial desolate land, he would have to pass through this dangerous river. "Qin Yun, look at the surface of the river. There's so much mist," Xiao Yuemei said. The water splashed and stirred up a lot of mist. This was also a normal phenomenon. However, the mist in front of them was gradually increasing. It was extremely strange. Xiao Yuemei took out a mirror and shouted in shock, "There's a soul body coming from the river." When Qin Yun heard this, he immediately flew over and grabbed Xiao Yuemei. Then, he used the flame cloud steps and rushed into the sky. Crash! A huge wave suddenly splashed out from the river, violently crashing against the riverbank. Something jumped out of the river and landed directly at the spot where Xiao Yuemei was just a moment ago. It was a giant beast that was completely pitch black. It was a giant lion that was more than 10 meters long. Its body was pitch black and the mane on its neck was extremely dense. Its eyes were brownish red and it breathed out mist from its mouth. Chapter 139. Ghost Beast Kinga Lion in the water could actually spit fire. Qin Yun hurriedly dodged the ball of fire and began running wildly in the air with Xiao Yuemei. This black lion's strength was extremely terrifying. It had reached the level of a Xian beast. Xiao Yuemei lay on Qin Yun's back and looked at the black lion chasing after them. She asked doubtfully, "This guy is clearly a fire attribute lion. Why did he run into the water?" Qin Yun also found it strange. He was focused on running and did not carefully observe the beast. He could only ask Xiao Yuemei for some details. He asked, "Is this a ghost beast?" Xiao Yuemei nodded, "Yes. I can sense that violent mental power. It is indeed a ghost beast. It might even be the leader of the previous 2 batches of ghost beasts. Extremely likely. The giant turtle should have run out of the river." Qin Yun thought of some terrifying things and cried out involuntarily, "There's a problem with the Cloud Dragon River. Regardless of whether it's a demon beast or an evil beast, they often go to the river to drink water. They must have been possessed by an evil spirit by the river." Within the Cloud Dragon River, a large number of evil spirits had appeared. He believed that this must be the reason why a large number of evil beasts and ghost beasts had appeared in the Cloud Dragon mountain range during this period of time. This giant lion might have been a fire lion, but the evil spirit that possessed it was afraid of fire. That's why it soaked in water to cool down. Xiao Yuemei guessed. If that's really the case, then this black lion's strength will definitely drop by a lot. Qin Yun's heart suddenly stirred as he wanted to take down the black lion. Qin Yun ran wildly in the air as the black lion chased after him. It broke many huge trees and from time to time, it would roar at the sky. Xiao Yuemei suddenly shouted, "Qin Yun, look at the giant lion." Qin Yun turned his head and saw the black lion rolling and roaring on the ground. It seemed to be in great discomfort. He immediately stopped and carefully looked at the black lion below. The black lion looked like it was in extreme pain as it let out roars and continuously rolled on the ground. Its pitch-black body was overflowing with traces of faint golden flames. I can sense two soul bodies. Could it be that there are two soul bodies fighting within the black lion? Xiao Yuemei shouted in shock. It should be right. Qin Yun hurriedly took out a few evil suppression talismans and threw them at the black lion. After the evil suppression talisman landed, it erupted with a ghost-suppressing power that enveloped the area. The berserk black lion gradually calmed down. More and more faint golden aura flames appeared on its body, and the black color on its body faded. Suddenly, a black shadow flew out of the giant lion's body, followed by a sinister curse. "Damned human brat, ruining this ghost king's business, I'll kill you." When Qin Yun saw the black shadow fly over, he was immediately alarmed. In a panic, he threw out a large number of evil suppression talismans at the black shadow that called itself the Ghost King. The evil suppression talisman burst out with a burst of energy, blocking the black shadow. How did you get so many evil suppression talismans? This kind of spirit pattern has been extinct for tens of thousands of years. How did you get it? The Ghost King's painful screams could be heard. Qin Yun, do you have any more? Throw them all out and kill this guy. Xiao Yuemei said. There are still dozens of them. Just as Qin Yun finished speaking, the Ghost King hastily fled towards the group of giant tortoises. Xiao Yuemei cried out in alarm. Not good. The Ghost King's speed was very fast. In a few moments, it arrived at the group of giant tortoises and entered the body of one of them. The giant tortoise suddenly came back to life and became very ferocious. It released waves of black gas that enveloped the corpses of the other giant tortoises and was devouring them. Qin Yun looked at the golden fire lion on the ground. It had more or less recovered. It actually charged towards the group of giant tortoises and let out angry roars. The Ghost King has devoured all the giant tortoises. Qin Yun looked at a giant tortoise in the distance that was emitting black gas. It ferociously ran towards the golden fire lion at a very fast speed. The golden fire lion is no match for the Ghost Beast King. Xiao Yuemei's expression was solemn. We must kill this Ghost Beast King. Otherwise, after he defeats the golden fire lion, his target will be us. Qin Yun knew very well that if the Ghost Beast King were to chase after them, they would not be able to escape. He landed on the ground and took out the furnace and a large pile of precious high-grade beast skins, as well as the 2,000 purple coins he had obtained from selling the storage belt. What are you doing? Xiao Yuemei said with a frown. I want to refine a ghost suppression talisman array. Come and help me. Although Qin Yun was very nervous, he did not panic at all. He placed many beast skins into the furnace to melt. What do you need my help with? Xiao Yuemei watched from the side. Help me spread this out. Qin Yun took out the stone tablet of the 9 Yang Spirit Convergence array and handed it to Xiao Yuemei. Assemble it according to the lines on it and then place these 2,000 purple coins evenly on it. Xiao Yuemei nodded. Her expression was filled with nervousness. This was because the golden fire lion was roaring angrily and the Ghost Beast King's aura was very strong. It had already suppressed the golden fire lion. Qin Yun strengthened the flames and burned all the beast skins into soft mud. Then, he stacked them one by one and used the giant king's spirit hammer to hammer them together, causing the softened beast skins to fuse into one. He crazily used the 6-style forging dragon to hammer the beast's skins. Xiao Yuemei, who was watching from the side, was incomparably alarmed. This was the first time she had personally seen the beast's skins used to refine formations. Qin Yun was sweating profusely. He did not even have time to wipe his sweat. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the beast's skin used to set up the formation was finally refined. Begin inscribing, the golden fire lion must hold on. Qin Yun was extremely anxious. He took a few deep breaths and began inscribing. Although they could run now, they couldn't run far. The Ghost King's soul body flew very fast and the golden fire lion could only buy them 2 hours at most. In a short 2 hours, it was impossible to escape the area controlled by the Ghost King. The voice of the golden fire lion became weaker and weaker. Qin Yun endured the immense pressure to inscribe. He needed to inscribe several sets of ghost suppression spirit runes in order to have enough strength to suppress the angry Ghost King. An hour later, Qin Yun finally finished refining the ghost suppression talisman array. Xiao Yuemei also threw 2,000 purple coins onto the 9 yang spirit convergence array. Qin Yun placed the ghost suppression talisman array on top of the 9 yang spirit convergence array and activated the array to absorb the spiritual energy within the purple coins. Then, he controlled the energy gathered by the 9 yang spirit convergence array and poured it into the ghost suppression talisman array. Haha! Human brat, you're dead for sure. The voice of the Ghost King was heard as the giant black lion appeared again. The golden fire lion was once again possessed by the Ghost King and turned into a giant black lion. Although its body was covered in wounds, its strength was still extremely terrifying. It would take a period of time for the ghost suppression talisman array to absorb energy. You may, I'll leave this to you. I'll deal with this guy. Qin Yun still had some ghost suppression talismans in his hand. He used flame cloud steps to fly into the air and charged at the black lion. He threw out an ghost suppression talisman. Just the power of a single ghost suppression talisman had a pretty good effect, causing the black lion to roar in pain. Chapter 140. A desperate fight. The black lion struggled crazily. A moment later, it finally broke free from the power of the ghost suppression talisman. Then, Qin Yun threw out another ghost suppression talisman to suppress the black lion again. Every time he suppressed the Ghost King, he would use his strongest 6-style forging dragon to beat up the black lion. The golden fire lion did not resist this time. It was obvious that it had been completely defeated by the Ghost King. Otherwise, it would have been able to disperse the Ghost King's power. Let's see how long your ghost suppression talisman can last. The Ghost King laughed maniacally in pain. Not long after, the ghost suppression talisman in Qin Yun's hand was used up. The ghost suppression talisman array had yet to absorb enough energy. I need to delay the Ghost King as much as I can and buy time for you Mei. Qin Yun looked at Xiao Yuemei and took out the giant King Spirit Hammer. With a loud shout, he descended from the sky and used the 6-style forging dragon to hammer the black lion. Boom! Boom! The 6-style forging dragon was extremely terrifying, but the black lion's body was extremely tough. It had already been attacked by the 6-style forging dragon more than 10 times, but it was still standing strong. Haha! You don't have any more ghost suppression talismans. The Ghost King laughed loudly as it allowed Qin Yun to attack the huge lion's body. Roar! The black lion roared and unleashed a powerful wave of mental energy. Qin Yun immediately felt an excruciating pain in his head, as though it was about to explode. Thankfully, there was a spirit star crystal in his mind that could release waves of mental energy to protect his brain. Otherwise, his consciousness would definitely be erased. He finally understood how the evil soul possessed the body of an evil beast. It was to release an extremely strong mental wave to erase one's consciousness. You're not dead yet? The Ghost King's voice rang out, waking Qin Yun, who was in intense pain all over his body. Qin Yun was bleeding from his 7 orifices after being attacked by the mental wave. His mind was dizzy and his blurry vision was gradually becoming clear. Haha! Consider yourself powerful. It's good that you're still conscious, then I'll let you taste all kinds of pain. The Ghost King laughed loudly before urging the Black Lion to stab into Qin Yun's body with a claw that was like a giant blade. Qin Yun screamed in pain as blood gushed out. The Black Lion raised its claws and placed Qin Yun in front of its huge mouth. As long as he opened his mouth wide, he would be able to swallow Qin Yun in one gulp. Don't worry, I won't let you die that easily. I want to play slowly, ha ha. The Ghost King laughed out loud in a very relieved manner. Then, he controlled the Black Lion to bite Qin Yun's left arm and tear it off. Qin Yun let out a heaven-shaking scream. Xiao Yuemei has been watching from afar. She can only clench her jade teeth and wait for the talisman formation to finish absorbing the energy. Only then would she have enough power to suppress the Ghost King. Arm. His arm has been eaten. After Xiao Yuemei saw this, she cannot help but cover her small mouth. She doesn't dare to believe it. She knew that if Qin Yun used the flaming cloud steps by himself, he would be able to shake off the Ghost King. However, it would be impossible to bring her along. However, he didn't just walk away. Instead, he chose to face the Ghost King and even paid the price of an arm. This kind of courage and this kind of responsibility made her feel endless admiration in her heart. Her heart palpitated once again. Looking at Qin Yun, who was screaming in pain, her heart could not help but ache. Suddenly, the ghost-suppressing talisman formation, refined from the beast skin, flashed with light. It's finally done. Xiao Yuemei was overjoyed. She hurriedly picked up the beast's skin and rushed towards the Ghost King, who was a few hundred meters away. Little girl, I'll go find you after I kill this guy. Why are you running over now? What's the rush? Haha. The Ghost King laughed loudly. Go to hell. Xiao Yuemei threw the beast's skin behind her with all her might and activated the talisman array. After the ghost-suppressing talisman array was activated, a large amount of white light burst out and enveloped the Black Lion. The entire talisman array also landed on the lion's body. The Black Lion suddenly roared and struggled crazily on the ground. It also threw Qin Yun, who was on the tip of its claws, away. Xiao Yuemei anxiously rushed over and caught Qin Yun, who was covered in wounds. Then, she quickly channeled her inner force into his body to stabilize his injuries. After the Black Lion was covered by the ghost-suppressing talisman array, it struggled for a while before lying on the ground. The black color on its body also faded, and it once again turned into a golden fire lion. Xiao Yuemei looked at Qin Yun in her arms with a pained expression. There was a large hole in his abdomen. She sighed softly and said, "This guy's mysterious yellow meridians are really powerful." The mysterious heart grass was used very well by him. Qin Yun's wound was split open. One could see many faint golden threads connected to it, like the threads of a lotus root. The most serious injury was his left arm. It had been forcefully torn off and eaten. Xiao Yuemei looked at the wound on her severed arm. Her beautiful face was filled with sadness. She bit her lips and took out a scarf to cover the terrifying wound on her left arm. She was worried that Qin Yun would be agitated when he woke up and saw it. Not far away, the golden fire lion that was lying on the ground moved slightly. It scared Xiao Yuemei so much that she hurriedly stood up and carried Qin Yun on her back as she prepared to run. "Little girl, don't panic." The golden fire lion actually spoke. Its voice was low, as if it was extremely weak. "Big Lion, is it good or bad?" Xiao Yuemei asked in shock. "I'm good. Human girl, don't be afraid, I have no ill intentions," the golden fire lion said. Then, "What about my brother's arm? You swallowed it just now. Can you spit it out?" Xiao Yuemei pouted and asked in a low voice. "Yes. His arm is special, it's branded with a heavenly lion totem." The golden fire lion struggled to move its body. It raised its head and spat out an arm on the ground. Xiao Yuemei hurriedly ran over and picked up the arm. To her surprise, she discovered that the arm was extremely hot. From the broken bone, she could see that the bones inside were purplish gold in color. She also saw the heavenly lion totem on his arm. "Take it and you'll be able to connect it yourself," the golden fire lion said. Xiao Yuemei took the severed arm and connected it to Qin Yun's severed arm. A faint golden light overflowed from the severed arm. Traces of mysterious yellow veins appeared as if they had a mind of their own, connecting the severed arm. Qin Yun gradually woke up and regained consciousness. He was lying on Xiao Yuemei's slender thighs as he opened his eyes slightly. "You're finally awake. You scared me to death." Xiao Yuemei laughed. "My arm." Qin Yun could not help but reach out to touch it. He said in surprise, "Wasn't it broken? Why did it come back?" "It was spat out by the big lion for you. It seems to have become stronger." Xiao Yuemei remembered that when she picked up her arm, she saw that the broken bones had turned purplish gold and the muscles were filled with flames. "After I sleep and recover from my injuries, I'll talk to you about the heavenly lion totem." The golden fire lion suddenly said, "Young man, you should rest as well. Let's talk after you recover from your injuries." And Qin Yun closed his eyes and allowed the 9 yang divine spirit to absorb the 9 suns' spiritual energy into his body to heal himself. He still had a few light inscription equipment on him. At this moment, they were all activated and releasing their healing power. Xiao Yuemei placed him on a soft cushion and put away the 9 yang spirit convergence array. Just as she put away the stone slabs, she suddenly sensed a few auras. "It's Wu Yuchen and the others. These guys have been attracted by the commotion here." She hurriedly ran to Qin Yun's side and prepared for battle. This was originally an ancient forest, but because the Ghost King had gone berserk while possessing the golden fire lion's body, all the trees within a few thousand meters had been flattened. When Wu Yuchen and company arrived, they saw a giant lion that was more than 10 meters long lying on the ground. They also saw Xiao Yuemei and Qin Yun, who was lying on the ground. "Haha! Xiao Yuemei, your strength is not bad. You actually killed such a huge demon beast." Wu Yuchen's face was filled with greed as he looked at the golden fire lion. The other students were the same. They were all boys, and when they saw Xiao Yuemei alone, they could not help but have improper thoughts. "Don't come over," Xiao Yuemei shouted coldly. Chapter 141. Team Annihilation, Don't Court Death. Xiao Yuemei gritted her teeth and shouted coldly. She had to be by Qin Yun's side. Otherwise, she would have already run out and started a fight. "Ha ha! We're courting death? How is that possible? We're here to have fun. Little beauty, let us have fun." A tall young man with a lecherous smile came to Xiao Yuemei's side. Wu Yuchen and his team were all at the 6th level martial body realm. Furthermore, they were seniors of the Tianxian martial school. Naturally, they felt that if the 8 of them joined forces, they would definitely be able to take down Xiao Yuemei. Even if Qin Yun wasn't injured, they weren't afraid. In this wilderness, they could do whatever they wanted as long as they didn't say anything. Furthermore, they could obtain a storage spirit artifact and the corpse of a very high-level demon beast. Furthermore, they had been drooling over Xiao Yuemei, this peerless beauty, for a long time. Now was a great opportunity. Xiao Yuemei was so angry that her delicate body trembled. With a shout, she controlled a long sword to fly out and cut the tall youth 10 meters away in half. Crash! A large amount of blood burst out and splattered on the ground. Wu Yuchen and the others could no longer laugh. The person who had been chatting and laughing with them earlier had been sliced in half by Xiao Yuemei's sword. Xiao Yuemei controlled the long sword and a few short swords to fly towards Wu Yuchen. Wu Yuchen and the others were not to be trifled with. They all took out their weapons to block. Xiao Yuemei's weapon was not a spirit artifact. Now that she was being fiercely attacked by the 7 of them, there were many cuts on her weapon. A few of the short swords were even smashed to pieces on the ground. Yueme, when you see something appear, you'll have to cooperate with the situation, Qin Yun suddenly said in a low voice. Don't worry about me. Just attack faster. Wu Yuchen and company rushed over, but suddenly, they saw a silver light flash. It was a 4 to 5 meter long lion that flew out. It's a puppet beast. Qin Yun released it. It must have been refined by him. A red-clothed man cried out in alarm. Just as he was about to attack with his inner strength, the puppet silver lion spat out a bolt of lightning. Before the red-clothed man could even attack, his upper body was blasted off by the bolt of lightning. Wu Yuchen and the others turned pale with fright. Their hearts were filled with incomparable fear. In the eyes of many people, puppet beasts were very mysterious and terrifying. Hurry up and attack, otherwise we'll all die. After Wu Yuchen finished speaking, he saw Xiao Yueme holding onto her sword and floating over like the wind. She waved the sword in her hand a few times, and several swords appeared. Then, these swords split into a few more swords, and in an instant there were dozens of swords and they flew out. It's the low-grade profound rank doppelganger illusory sword technique. Wu Yuchen shouted in shock. Use your mental strength to sense it. A sword without any aura is fake, there is no need to harm it. Before he could finish, he sensed that the swords flying over were all real. What was even worse was that the silver lion puppet also flew over and tore one of the men apart in an instant. This is the essence of the doppelganger illusory sword technique. Even if you use spirit to transform into a sword, this is a spirit attack. After Xiao Yueme finished speaking, all the illusory swords struck Wu Yuchen and the other 4. Struck by the mental sword energy, they were dazed and their heads felt heavy. The silver lion puppet also took advantage of this moment to swiftly and violently charge over. Its sharp claws that were like daggers ruthlessly slapped down, leaving a few deep bloody marks on their bodies and killing a student in an instant. Wu Yuchen was terrified to the extreme. He wanted to run, but after being attacked by the illusory sword technique, it was as if he was drunk. He staggered and his body did not listen to him. Another student was killed by the silver lion puppet. Xiao Yueme sneered. You guys just wanted to do something bad to me. Now you regret it, right? Don't kill me, don't kill me. A student knelt on the ground and begged softly. I was wrong. Please spare me. If I didn't have enough strength, then would you have let me go just now? Let you go? No way. Xiao Yueme said angrily. She controlled the long sword to fly over and stabbed the student to death. Xiao Yueme and the silver lion puppet worked together and quickly killed 7 students. Now only Wu Yuchen was left. Wu Yuchen sat on the ground and cried loudly. He looked at the broken corpses on the ground and felt incomparable fear in his heart. This was because he knew very well that Xiao Yueme would definitely not let him go. He trembled under the pressure of the fear of death. You are all in your 20s while Qin Yun and I are only 14 or 15 years old. You 8 of you are besieging the 2 of us and even want to do something dirty to me. Xiao Yueme's sword was placed on Wu Yuchen's neck. Grand Aunt, let me go, Wu Yuchen cried out. He had suffered a mental attack just now and had yet to recover. In your next life, Xiao Yueme did not show any mercy. She circulated her inner force and waved her sword fiercely. Have a good journey. Wu Yuchen fell to the ground, dying with grievances. His frozen face was filled with fear. The 8 students of the Tianxian martial school all had pretty good mental strength. However, they had all been killed. If the Tianxian martial school were to find out about this, they would definitely execute Xiao Yueme and Qin Yun at all costs. These bastards, can't you just live well? Why are you courting death? Xiao Yueme snorted as she wiped the sword in her hand. Qin Yun, who was lying beside the broken tree trunk, smiled. However, he was also somewhat worried. The deaths of these 8 students are no small matter. If the Tianxian Martial School were to find out, the consequences would be unimaginable. We just need to keep it a secret. Take out your furnace and I'll burn them. Xiao Yuemei was not worried at all. She was only 14 years old, but she was very efficient in doing these things. Very quickly, she cleaned up the scene beautifully without leaving a single trace of blood behind. When the big lion recovers from its injuries, I'll let it use its flames to wash this place again. Its flames will definitely be very strong. Xiao Yuemei smiled and said, "Brother, don't worry." Qin Yun nodded slightly before recuperating in peace. Xiao Yuemei, on the other hand, rode the silver lion puppet and played around. She even clamored for one. At midnight, Qin Yun lay on the ground and looked at the stars in the sky. He discovered that in the depths of the Cloud Dragon mountain range, he could see more and brighter stars. He released his primordial spirit to absorb the power of the stars in the sky to cultivate his mental strength. Xiao Yuemei sat beside Qin Yun and looked at his left arm. She asked softly, "Brother, do you feel your arm better?" Qin Yun smiled and said, "Very good, I can move. Let me touch it." "Your arm was eaten by the big lion and you spat it out again." Xiao Yuemei snorted and said, "I wonder if there's a problem." The golden fire lion was lying on the side. When it heard Xiao Yuemei's voice, it opened its 2 large eyes that were emitting fire and said, "Not only is there no problem, it has even been tempered by me. It's mainly because his arm has the heavenly lion totem that I was able to use my own heavenly lion blood essence to temper it." Chapter 142. Totem Inheritance. When Qin Yun saw the golden fire lion wake up, he was overjoyed. He hurriedly asked, "Great lion, then can my own blood flow into my left arm?" The golden fire lion blinked its big eyes and said, "Of course you can. After your blood enters your left arm, it will be turned into heavenly lion blood by the heavenly lion totem. In short, this arm can give you a very strong power, and you also need to comprehend the power of the heavenly lion totem. This is a very powerful thing." When Qin Yun was refining the silver lion puppet, he realized that the heavenly lion totem was an extremely terrifying set of runes. The golden fire lion continued, "I am a descendant of the ancient heavenly lion clan. I have a certain amount of heavenly lion bloodline in my body, so I can help you activate the heavenly lion totem. Totems are the inherited memories of a clan. They are incomparably profound and all-encompassing." Xiao Yuemei exclaimed, "So powerful! Brother, how did you get it?" "I soaked in the celestial lion pool for 10 days and the totem appeared on my arm. I'm not too sure why it appeared." Qin Yun was also very curious. He looked at the golden fire lion and asked, "Great lion, do you know?" The golden fire lion said, "You might have soaked in the heavenly lion's blood. Our heavenly lion bloodline has always nurtured this kind of totem inheritance. The fact that a heavenly lion totem appeared on your body means that you have obtained the recognition of the heavenly lion bloodline." Qin Yun secretly sensed his left arm. Indeed, he could clearly sense a very strong ancient power hidden within it. Xiao Yuemei was extremely mischievous. She climbed onto the golden fire lion's body and said with a tender smile, "Great lion, you also have a martial spirit, right? What martial spirit is it? Can you tell me?" "Gold Sun martial spirit," the golden fire lion said. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei were immediately alarmed. The Sun martial spirit was a martial spirit bestowed by the heavens. Xiao Yuemei was in disbelief and asked, "Is that true? Your martial spirit is so strong and it's even the bane of ghosts. You were actually beaten so badly by the Ghost King." The golden fire lion was somewhat vexed as it said, "At the critical moment of my breakthrough, I was disturbed by the Ghost King, causing me to be injured. Then, he controlled my body and entered the land of extreme Een in the depths of the Cloud Dragon River to wear down my strength." Xiao Yuemei jumped down from the lion's back, took out her mirror and placed it on the golden fire lion's fluffy stomach. Big Lion, relax your entire body and let my martial spirit's power enter your body to sense your martial spirit. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Just treat it as a small favor for me. As long as there's no harm, it's fine. You guys saved me and helped me a little. The golden fire lion chuckled. Qin Yun is secretly astonished. She knew that Xiao Yueme wanted to use the mysterious mirror martial spirit to copy the golden sun martial spirit into her mirror. Sure enough, the mirror in Xiao Yueme's hand suddenly flickered with golden light. It only lasted for a moment and then disappeared. Success, I have a martial spirit bestowed by the heavens. Xiao Yueme laughed very happily. When my mental power cultivation is almost done, I will switch to the Golden Sun martial spirit. Qin Yun has 2 martial spirits, and they are of very high quality. However, he is also very jealous of Xiao Yueme's mirror martial spirit. Big Lion, where did you come from? You are very strong and you can even speak. Xiao Yueme climbed onto the lion's back and asked, and that Ghost King, how did you get targeted by it? The golden fire lion said, the Ghost King ran out from the immortal graveyard. I am mainly responsible for searching for the immortal graveyard and killing the evil spirits that escape from it. The Ghost King actually came from the immortal graveyard. In other words, the evil spirits on the ghost beasts also came from that place. Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme looked at each other with faces full of shock. Xiao Yueme hurriedly asked, then do you know where the immortal graveyard is? Can you take us there? Are there a lot of treasures there? The golden fire lion chuckled and said, after you cross the Cloud Dragon River, you will reach the immortal graveyard. Of course there are a lot of treasures inside, but you have to be alive to take them. After crossing the Cloud Dragon River, there was still the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. How could it be the immortal graveyard? The entire Cloud Dragon Mountain Range is the immortal graveyard? Qin Yun could not help but ask. The golden fire lion said, more or less. I don't know where the immortal bones are buried either. In short, there are a lot of demons and ghosts buried with them. Now, some of them have revived and some of them have turned into malicious spirits, so that place is very dangerous. Qin Yun had a portion of the immortal graveyard diagram. If he could gather all of the immortal graveyard diagram in the future, he might be able to find out where the immortal bones were buried. This required great strength in order to go there. Otherwise, there would be no return. The golden fire lion stood up and said, I'm going back. In the future, you must not approach the Cloud Dragon River in this area. It's extremely dangerous. Xiao Yueme leaped lightly from the lion's back to Qin Yun's side and said, Big Lion, goodbye. I will miss you. The next time we meet, I will be stronger than you. The golden fire lion let out a long laugh and spat out flames, burning the surroundings and completely erasing all traces. Then, it started running wildly and disappeared into the night. These are the storage bags of those guys. They killed a total of more than 20 ghost beasts. Xiao Yueme smiled tenderly and said, They are all ours now. Brother, you have to refine more evil suppression talismans to protect yourself. If you meet a powerful ghost beast, the evil suppression talisman will be of great use. Xiao Yueme had thought that the evil suppression talisman was useless. However, after personally witnessing the might of the evil suppression talisman, she felt even more reverence for the power of the spirit inscriptions. Qin Yun clenched his left fist and felt the power of the heavenly lion within. He thought to himself, if I use this arm to hold the giant king spirit hammer, the power I unleash will definitely be extremely great. It will be of great help to me in artifact forging. Let's get out of here first. As Qin Yun spoke, he carried Xiao Yueme on his back and used the flame cloud steps to leave through the air. This would avoid leaving any footprint. Xiao Yueme was now even closer to Qin Yun. She stuck to him like a little sister. They left the Cloud Dragon River and arrived at a mountainous forest filled with dangerous peaks. The mountain peaks in this area were all thousands of meters tall and shrouded in clouds and mist. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei found a cave halfway up a mountain that was as straight as a giant pillar, and went in to rest. The entrance of the cave was in the middle of the mountain. It was more than 2,000 meters above the ground, and it was also very safe. Ghost beasts and evil beasts could not easily come up. I'll refine some evil suppression talismans. Go play by yourself. After entering the cave, Qin Yun took out the furnace. Xiao Yuemei puffed up her cheeks and snorted, "You speak as if I'm a child. I want to help you craft talismans too." "Alright, then help me cut the beast's skin," Qin Yun said. "Then, pour your mental power and inner force into the beast's skin." Xiao Yuemei nodded and began to help very seriously. Qin Yun used the beast's skin that he had cut earlier to inscribe the evil suppression talisman. "Yuemei, you don't have a spirit artifact yet, right? I'll help you refine one." Qin Yun suddenly recalled that when Xiao Yuemei was fighting, she was using a half-spirit artifact sword. Furthermore, there were many cracks on it. Chapter 143. Spirit Essence Treasure. Qin Yun and company had killed those giant turtles and obtained many soul essences. These were the main materials for refining spirit artifact. Xiao Yuemei said, "As long as you help me refine a spirit artifact sword, the rest of the soul essences will be yours. How about it?" She didn't know how to forge artifacts, so it was useless. If she could exchange it for a sword, it would be very worthwhile. "All right." Qin Yun nodded. He also wanted to try refining this kind of spirit artifact. When Xiao Yuemei saw Qin Yun agree, she happily jumped and shouted, "I'm finally going to have a spirit artifact. And it's a special spirit artifact. I have a spirit artifact. Brother, when will you be able to refine it for me? Can you do it in 2 years?" 2 years? Qin Yun could not help but laugh. Then, "Within 3 years it should be fine, right? I only want to have a spirit artifact at the age of 16. Xiao Yuemei said in a soft voice. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Don't you have a storage spirit artifact now?" Xiao Yuemei looked at the bracelet and stuck out her tongue. She giggled and said, "I mean an offensive spirit artifact. Help me refine it within 3 years, can you?" Qin Yun pinched her face and said with a smile, 3 years? You're underestimating me. I'll help you refine it in at most a month. The last time he refined something as difficult as the giant king spirit hammer, it didn't even take a month. When Xiao Yuemei heard that, her face was filled with disbelief as she muttered, "A month? How is that possible? Doesn't it take a long time to refine a spirit artifact? When I finish refining 100 evil suppression talismans, I'll start helping you refine a spirit artifact. What do you want? A sword or a saber?" Qin Yun asked. The ghost suppression talisman array that was used to kill the Spirit King could still be used, so he didn't need to refine this kind of talisman array anymore. He only needed the ghost suppression talisman to deal with ordinary small ghost beasts. "I want a sword. Is refining a spirit artifact that simple?" Big Sister and many seniors have said that a good spirit artifact requires a lot of time to carve and carve before it can take shape. Xiao Yuemei said with a slight frown. "What do you think of my hammer?" Qin Yun took out the giant king spirit hammer and handed it to her. Xiao Yuemei took it and poured her inner force into it. She felt an unprecedented feeling of smoothness, as if after her inner force entered the hammer, it flowed for 1,000 miles, surging forward without any hindrance. Very good. Xiao Yuemei could also distinguish between good and bad spirit artifacts. Furthermore, she had heard rumors about Qin Yun's giant king spirit hammer. Qin Yun said with a smile, "When I was imprisoned in the Heaven Punisher Tower, I came up with it myself. They said that it would take a long time to refine a spirit artifact." "They're not lying to you, but you don't know anything about artifact forging. Don't believe their nonsense. Actually, a truly good spiritual artifact indeed required a very long period of time to forge. However, when Qin Yun was forging, he performed very well in all aspects. Therefore, in an extremely short period of time, he was able to forge a good spirit artifact. Xiao Yuemei was extremely excited. Then, she busied herself helping Qin Yun cut the beast's skin so that he could quickly craft the evil suppression talisman. In just 2 days, Qin Yun had completed 100 evil suppression talismans. Then, he began to help Xiao Yuemei refine a spirit artifact. He first melted a soul essence, and then saw how much he needed to fuse it evenly with the bone steel. In terms of handling materials, he was very experienced, so he was able to quickly see through it. I need a lot of soul essences. If I were to forge a sword, I would need about 20 soul essences, Qin Yun muttered. He also wanted to forge a saber for himself. After thinking for a moment, he decided to forge the sword and saber together. He threw both the bone steel and the soul essence into the furnace. After burning them to a certain degree, he took them out and hammered them together, allowing the low-grade bone steel and the soul essence to perfectly fuse together. Using my left hand to hammer is indeed very powerful. Qin Yun tested the hammer with his left hand and was pleasantly surprised. He deliberately used his left and right hands alternately. He could clearly feel that the strength of his left hand was twice as strong as his right hand. Xiao Yuemei continued to cut the beast's skin. In the future, Qin Yun only needed to use it to inscribe spirit inscriptions. In just 10 days, a rough outline of a saber and a sword appeared on the forging platform. Due to the limited materials, the saber that Qin Yun forged for himself this time was not big. The rough embryo is done very well. The soul essence can perfectly fuse with the low-grade bone steel. Qin Yun probed the 2 rough embryos with his mental power and felt that it was very smooth. After Xiao Yuemei gave it a try, she was filled with joy and looked forward to it even more. Qin Yun spent another 2 days to hone and forge a sharp sword that shone with a cold light. The hilt of the sword was also engraved with the rose pattern that Xiao Yuemei liked. After that, he began to inscribe spirit inscriptions. Qin Yun took out his carving knife and began inscribing on the sword. "Brother, what kind of spirit inscriptions did you carve?" Xiao Yuemei looked at her first spirit artifact that was gradually taking shape. She became even more excited and wanted to know more. Qin Yun explained, "Mental inscription and solid inscription. Mental inscription can strengthen and store mental power, while solid inscription can strengthen the sword body. Because the sword is relatively slender, in order to be more durable, it must be engraved with solid inscription." Right now, he could only inscribe 2 types of spirit inscriptions. If he were to inscribe 3 types of spirit inscriptions, it would be a mid-grade spirit artifact. Inscribing spirit inscriptions was not difficult for him. It was just that it would take a long time. It took him a full 2 days to carve the mental and solid inscriptions on both sides of the sword's body. Following that, he carved the blood-pact inscription on the hilt of the sword. Although this was the 3rd type of spirit inscription, due to the special nature of the blood-pact inscription, it could not turn a spirit artifact into a mid-grade spirit artifact. The final blood inscription needs to be dripped with blood to be able to use the spirit inscriptions inside. Otherwise, they would only be able to obtain an ordinary sword. Qin Yun finally finished refining the sword and handed it to Xiao Yuemei. Although it's a spirit artifact, it's very smooth for you to inject your inner force into it. Xiao Yuemei's little face was filled with excitement as she carefully looked at her precious spirit sword with her watery eyes. After receiving it, she hurriedly said, "Let's call it the Moon Soul Sword." This seemed to be what she had thought of a long time ago. Qin Yun smiled and began inscribing on his saber. This saber was only half a meter long and was considered to be relatively short. Because he was using his mental power to control it, it didn't need to be too big. It was relatively small and easy to control. Xiao Yuemei stood at the entrance of the cave and controlled her Moon Soul sword to fly out a few hundred meters. She chopped down the trees on the opposite mountain as if she was cutting grass. In an instant, a large area was cut down. Then, she called the sword back and gripped the hilt tightly, allowing the sword to fly and bring her around. "Oh, I can fly too," Xiao Yuemei giggled. She was having a great time playing. She had only been playing for 2 days, and she was already able to fly around on the Moon Soul Sword. Qin Yun could not help but marvel at Xiao Yuemei's mental power. It was actually so powerful. This was also the reason why a spirit artifact could make one's mental power stronger. In addition to the brilliant Imperial Spirit technique, it allowed Xiao Yuemei to fly on her sword long ago. Otherwise, she would need to be at least at the 9th level martial body realm. Qin Yun had also finished refining his saber. When he walked to the cave, he saw Xiao Yuemei hurriedly flying over on her sword. Her face was filled with panic. Chapter 144. 9 In Cloud. Qin Yun immediately wondered why the horde of ghost beasts was charging at him. The horde of ghost beasts they had encountered near the Cloud Dragon River were all commanded by the Ghost King, but now, the Ghost King was dead. Could there be a lot of Ghost Kings here? But why are they coming for me? Qin Yun stood at the entrance of the cave and looked ahead. The cave he was in was located in the middle of a dangerous mountain that was 5,000 meters high. Only flying ghost beasts could reach it. It seemed that flying ghost beasts had been specially sent to deal with him. When Xiao Yuemei landed in the cave, she was very anxious. "When I was flying outside, I used the mirror to sense a large number of souls quickly moving towards you. Then, I saw a flock of black birds flying over. They should be ghost beasts." Qin Yun stood at the entrance of the cave and looked into the distance. Indeed, he saw a flock of black birds in the distance. They were all very large. Upon closer inspection, it was a flock of crows. This flock of crows should have flown over from the Cloud Dragon River. Could it be that they are here to avenge the Ghost King? Xiao Yuemei stood behind Qin Yun. "Should we fight this time? Let's take a look first. We have the evil suppression talismans and spirit artifacts, so we don't need to be afraid of these ghost beasts." Qin Yun was carefully observing the flock of crows flying over. These crows were all very large. Their wings were 3 to 4 meters long and their eyes were blood-red. Their bodies emitted violent mental energy waves. One look was enough to tell that they were ghost beasts. "Brother, why can they sense your existence from so far away?" Xiao Yuemei was very puzzled about this. "You don't seem to have any place to be sensed. Do you have something that can attract these ghost beasts?" Qin Yun suddenly thought of his 9 Yang Divine Spirit. The strangest thing he had was this. It was given to him by the Grand Preceptor, and the Grand Preceptor had the Immortal Graveyard Diagram. He felt that the 9 Yang Divine Spirit might have something to do with the Immortal Graveyard. As for the ghost beasts, they were all evil spirits that came from the Immortal Graveyard. These crows are all at the level of rank 6 evil beasts. I'll go over first and use the evil suppression talisman to restrain them. Then you can go over and kill them. Qin Yun used the flaming cloud steps and dashed through the air. Then, he took out many evil suppression talismans. He first activated an evil suppression talisman and released the power of the ghost suppression to envelop his body. This prevented the crows from approaching. The crow was very strange. It did not even cry. When it saw Qin Yun approach, it flapped its wings and emitted a black mist. In the blink of an eye, the black aura released by the over 100 crows turned into a huge black mist that enveloped the sky. "Poison!" Qin Yun shouted in alarm. He hurriedly threw out a storm talisman, releasing a gale that blew away the black poisonous gas. Even the big crow was forced to retreat. At the same time, he scattered more than 20 evil suppression talismans, which exploded in the midst of the disorderly crows. The power of the evil suppression talisman enveloped the flock of crows along with the gale. The crows were struck by the evil suppression talismans and fell to the ground. These crows can release poisonous gas. You have to be careful." Qin Yun shouted and swooped down. He took out the soul essence saber and controlled it to fly down to chop off the crow's head. Xiao Yuemei quickly flew on her sword. When she is more than 100 meters away from the ground, she jumped down from the sky and controlled the moon soul sword. Like a light beam, she flew towards the falling crows. Shwa shwa shwa. Xiao Yuemei's moon soul sword was extremely sharp and skilled. When it stabbed forward, it pierced through the bodies of many crows and then went back and forth. In a few moments, more than half of the crows had been killed. She used the Imperial Spirit technique to control the spirit artifact and was much more proficient than Qin Yun. Furthermore, she could use the flying sword to release the waves of the spirit concentration kill to attack the ghost beast. Qin Yun was amazed. He felt that Xiao Yuemei was the nemesis of ghost beasts. This little girl, it seems like she has cultivated the Imperial Spirit technique to the small success stage. And I am only at the beginner level. At the beginner level of the Imperial Spirit technique, one could control weapons to fly and attack at will. However, this was only within a range of a few dozen meters. If one reached the small success stage, they could control weapons from a distance of a few hundred meters. Moreover, the controlled weapons were even faster and more powerful. Before the crows could even land on the ground, they were all killed by Xiao Yuemei and Qin Yun. "There's poison, let me deal with it." Qin Yun took out a large storage bag and walked over. This was something he had refined while refining a spirit artifact. He had used a lot of void spirit stones to refine it, so the space inside was very large. It could hold 300 to 400 elephants. Now they had a total of more than 240 corpses of ghost beasts. After Qin Yun carried the large bag over, a mass of black gas suddenly seeped out from the crows' bodies. However, it was not poisonous gas but a wisp of evil spirit intent. "Human, you better quickly hand over the 9 Yang Divine Spirit to me. Otherwise, you will be killed by the person who possesses the 9 Yin Divine Spirit." When Qin Yun heard the voice in his mind, he could not help but be alarmed. This also confirmed his previous guess. These ghost beasts were indeed coming for him. After he recovered from his shock, he took out the evil suppression talisman and threw it out, tearing apart the evil spirit intent. 9 Yin Divine Spirit? What was that? It seems like the 9 Yang Divine Spirit really has a lot to do with the immortal graveyard. Qin Yun thought to himself. He hurriedly put all the corpses of the crows into the bag and threw a few evil suppression talismans into the bag, completely erasing the evil spirits in the crows' bodies. Let's hurry back to the valley. The Cloud Dragon mountain range is getting more and more dangerous. Qin Yun was worried that even more powerful ghost beasts would come looking for him because this was related to his 9 Yang Divine Spirit. If a strong ghost beast really came, he would be in danger if he couldn't defeat it. Xiao Yuemei was also worried that they would meet a fellow like the Ghost Beast King. They had hunted enough ghost beasts because Du Guai had said before that having more than 100 of them would already be considered very good. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei ran on the ground with a heavy heart. He suspected that it was because they were too close to the Cloud Dragon River that they were sensed and sent a flock of crows to chase after them. Xiao Yuemei followed behind and suddenly said, "Brother, there will be more and more ghost beasts in the Cloud Dragon mountain range. They might not know the reason." Qin Yun said, "Don't tell anyone about the matter between us and the big lion. Actually, they might have guessed that the large number of ghost beasts is related to the immortal graveyard." What he was worried about now was that even if he left the Cloud Dragon mountain range, he would still be found by the ghost beasts. "This time, we will definitely get first place. The bastards from the Tianxian martial school have been annihilated. Only the Lingxian Wu Academy is left. However, they only have 7 people, so they won't be able to kill many ghost beasts." Xiao Yuemei said with a very happy smile, "I've gained a lot from this experiential learning. Of course, the biggest gain is getting to know you, my big brother, Qin Yun said with a smile, "Little girl, you did not look down on me like the others. It can be said that you have good eyesight. Otherwise, you would have ended up in a miserable state if you showed me that face." Xiao Yuemei stuck out her tongue. She thought of Qi Shui and the others. Back then, they had been tortured miserably by Qin Yun. They were either dead or crippled. Originally, she had looked down on Qin Yun. The reason why she had a good impression of Qin Yun was because of her sister. Chapter 145. The trial ended. The valley was filled with the students of the Three Mysterious Academy. During this period of time, they did not dare to go out because if they encountered ghost beasts, they would basically be dead for sure. Of course, to Qin Yun, it was just a few ghost beasts. They could not withstand a single blow. He and Xiao Yuemei had killed hundreds of them. During this period of time, Du Gui had also guided the students of the Three Mysterious Academy to cultivate their mental strength. When Qin Yun returned, he saw Xie Wufeng testing his mental strength. He was actually able to levitate 30 god soaring stones. It could be said that he had improved greatly. At this moment, all the students were extremely curious about how many ghost beasts Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei had killed. The students of the Three Mysterious Academy were extremely afraid of ghost beasts. Therefore, they guessed that Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei could not kill many ghost beasts. Otherwise, they would not have returned early. It's already not bad to be able to kill 5 ghost beasts. Xiao Yuemei's level is not bad. If she were to follow the Tianxian Martial School, then the first place would definitely belong to the Tianxian Martial School. Following Qin Yun isn't bad either. At least I got a storage bracelet. I want it too. Everyone watched Qin Yun walk into the martial arts plaza as they discussed in whispers. Xiao Yuemei and Qin Yun were both wearing black tight clothes. Their clothes were clean and tidy. The two of them walked very close and it seemed like their relationship had improved a lot. Upon returning, Xiao Yuemei's beautiful face carried a faint cold arrogance. She looked like a very cold and elegant little ice beauty. Qin Yun secretly curled his lips. He knew that Xiao Yuemei was a very mischievous wild girl. When she was in the Cloud Dragon mountain range, she would laugh and laugh all day long. She was as lively as she could be. That small mouth was either talking or eating. Compared to the current her, it was as if she was a completely different person. What a coincidence! The people from the Lingxian Wu Academy have also returned. Suddenly, someone said. Then, everyone looked towards the cave that led into the valley. Qin Yun looked over and saw 6 extremely miserable youths returning. There were many bloodstains on their bodies, and all of them looked miserable. The students of the Lingxian Wu Academy were originally very arrogant, but now, they could no longer be arrogant. The moment they returned, they sat paralyzed on the ground. Their faces were filled with fear. In comparison, Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei were clean as if nothing had happened. The difference was too great. The two of them are definitely just going to play. They didn't hunt any ghost beasts at all. That's right, the people from the Lingxian Wu Academy must have killed a lot of them. Aren't there 7 of them? There are only 6 of them now. One of our companions died while escaping. Du Gui nodded and said, "Now, let's wait for the students of the Tianxian Martial School to return. I'll take a look at the ghost beasts you killed first." The captain immediately released the corpses of their ghost beasts. There were indeed 80 of them, but compared to Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei, they were far inferior. In another 5 days, the students of the Tianxian Martial School will not return. Then the victors will be Xiao Yuemei and Qin Yun. Du Gui looked at the 2 piles of ghost beasts and was filled with worry. Qin Yun walked towards the cave. He wanted to return to cultivate but was stopped by Guo Cheng. "You are not allowed to wander around. You can only stay in the plaza, and you are not allowed to come into contact with anyone. This is to prevent you from being possessed by the evil soul, so you must be monitored by us for at least 7 days. Guo Qing said loudly to Qin Yun. Du Gui's expression was solemn as he nodded. Yes, the evil soul will definitely change within 7 days when it attaches itself to a human body. The most obvious thing is that the skin will turn black. Upon hearing this, the nearby students dispersed as if they were avoiding a god of plague. Qin Yun and company are not injured. It's too suspicious. If he was a ghost beast, he would have been killed immediately. This is also a good thing. Some people hoped that Qin Yun was a ghost beast because they were extremely jealous of Qin Yun. Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme sat in the martial arts plaza, patiently waiting. Dean Bai was also by Qin Yun's side. If there was any sudden movement, he would be able to control Qin Yun in time to prevent Guo Qing from taking the opportunity to attack. 5 days of time was something that Qin Yun could pass very quickly. He closed his eyes and cultivated for a while. When the night of the 5th day arrived, Guo Qing of the Tianxian martial school could no longer sit still. He paced back and forth in the training grounds, feeling very anxious. Chapter 146. Who has the most soul essence? Guo Qing hated Xiao Yueme and Qin Yun to the core, so he did not wish for them to enter the bone-refining formation. Especially Xiao Yueme. Previously, she had not listened to his arrangements, causing him to lose all face. Qin Yun secretly admired the wild girl, Xiao Yueme. She was actually able to sit here quietly for 5 days. He was really worried that Xiao Yueme would suddenly go crazy. Xiao Yueme was originally unable to sit still, but when she saw Guo Qing's anxious expression, she was extremely happy and endured it. The students of the 3 Mysterious Academy did not rest either because they wanted to see if Wu Yuchen's team could return. Therefore, everyone in the valley waited quietly in the middle of the night. Time gradually passed and the pitch-black sky slowly lit up. 9 scorching suns rose, announcing the end of the ghost beast hunting trial. Time's up. Wu Yuchen's team was unable to return on time, so they were eliminated. The victors are Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme. When Du Gui said this, the vice principal of the Lingxian Wu Academy, Luo Ku, suddenly shouted, "Wait! Dean Luo, what's the matter? The result is very clear now." Du Gui said. Luo Ku asked, "Teacher Du, if we obtain a soul essence, how will the results be calculated?" The students of our Lingxian Wu Academy kill powerful ghost beasts. Because the corpses of the ghost beasts are too big, they only take the soul essence inside. Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with smiles because they still had quite a few soul essences. When Du Gui heard this, he frowned and said, "1 soul essence is equivalent to 50 ghost beasts." Luo Ku looked at one of the captains and shouted, "Don't hide anymore. Although the soul essence is very precious, if you can enter the bone-refining formation, you might be able to step into the 7th level martial body realm. At that time, you will be able to kill even more powerful ghost beasts and obtain the soul essence." Qin Yun sneered in his heart. He could tell at a glance that Luo Ku had given the students the soul essence in order to cheat at this critical juncture. Guo Qing said with a smile, "Ghost beasts that can condense soul essences are all very powerful. They are also comparable to 50 ghost beasts. If the students of the Lingxian Wu Academy can really obtain the soul essence, then my Tianxian martial school will admit it." On the surface, he was smiling, but in his heart, he was cursing Luo Ku's despicable move. If Wu Yuchen and the others had any hope of winning, they might also be defeated by this move. And now, Wu Yuchen and the others had not returned and he did not want to see Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme win, so he could only support Luo Ku. The captain of the Lingxian Wu Academy took out 4 green soul essences and handed them to Du Gui. He said, "Teacher Du, this should be enough for 200 ghost beasts, right?" When Huazhong saw this, he cursed in a low voice, "Damn it. These fellows have turned defeat into victory. Damn it." Du Gui's expression was a little unnatural. How could he not see through this? However, he did not know what to do now. Teacher Du, you are the referee. Quickly decide the final victor. Our Ling Xian Wu Academy's team has killed 280 ghost beasts. Qin Yun and company are only 245. Luo Ku smiled proudly. The jealous students of the three mysterious academy could not help but laugh. They were very happy that Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme were not the final victors. Ling Xian Wu Academy Du Gui's words were interrupted again. He saw Qin Yun walk over with 2 soul essences in his hands. Everyone was astonished. Qin Yun actually had a soul essence as well. Furthermore, it looked brighter than the Lin Xian Wu Academy. Teacher Du, we originally wanted to hide it, but in order to win, we have no choice but to take it out. These 2 soul essences are equivalent to 100 ghost beasts. We now have 345. Qin Yun said with a smile. Luo Ku cursed in his heart. He never expected Qin Yun to have a soul essence as well. Guo Qing was also very surprised. For a student of the Lin Xian Wu Academy to have a soul essence, it must have been given to him by Luo Ku a long time ago. As for Qin Yun's soul essence, it was obvious that he had just obtained it not long ago. Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme could actually kill such a powerful ghost beast. Du Gue was also shocked to the point of sighing in his heart. The students of the Lin Xian Wu Academy took out another 4 soul essences and said, I'm still hiding them. Now we have another 200. When Qin Yun saw this, he smiled and took out 4 soul essences. Everyone exclaimed in surprise when they saw this. Previously, it was a competition of ghost beasts. Now, it was a competition of soul essences. All of you, take them out. Luo Ku was anxious because the soul essence that he had revealed was meant for Du Gue. After all, Du Gue had shared his cultivation technique with everyone. Du Gue was secretly happy to be able to obtain so many soul essences. The students of the Lin Xian Wu Academy gritted their teeth and took out 6 soul essences in one go. Now they had a total of 14 soul essences. When Qin Yun saw this, he took out another 8. There was a total of 14. Hee, do you have any more? Qin Yun said with a smile. The corner of Luo Ku's mouth twitched. His 14 soul essences had gone to waste. The students of the Lin Xian Wu Academy could no longer take them out. Du Gue happily collected the soul essences and announced Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme's victory. Qin Yun did not feel the pinch because he still had dozens of soul essences in his storage space. Furthermore, he had learned the Imperial Spirit Technique and the Spirit Concentration Kill Technique. Actually, Du Gue, Guo Qing, and the other seniors were very clear about this. Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme had relied on their own strength to obtain the soul essence. Furthermore, they might even have quite a few left. This kind of strength was the most shocking. Ah! Suddenly, someone from the Lin Xian Wu Academy's team shouted loudly. His skin turned pitch black and his eyes turned red. His hair danced wildly and a black aura surged. 9 Yang Divine Spirit! 9 Yang Divine Spirit! The student shouted crazily. Quickly kill him! Qin Yun hurriedly shouted. His heart was filled with shock. That mysterious evil soul power had actually chased him all the way here. Who will do it? Why don't I do it? Xiao Yueme said coldly. I'll do it. After Du Gue finished speaking, his eyes flashed and he released an invisible mental force that struck the student's head. The student immediately bled from his 7 orifices and died. The students who went to hunt ghost beasts had changed on the 6th day of their return. Qin Yun had thought that it would change within 7 days. He was just casually saying it. He never expected that someone would actually be possessed by the evil soul. You guys will have to stay here for another day. Du Gui's expression was solemn. Generally speaking, the evil soul will not be able to resist changing on the 6th day. However, in order to be conservative, we will have to wait until the 7th day to make a decision. Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme were not worried. Even the more powerful ghost beast king had been killed by them. The evil soul would definitely not be able to approach them, much less possess them. After the 7th day, the trial finally ended. It made people sigh endlessly. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei's team were actually so powerful that they obtained the final victory. As for the Tianxian martial school, the team led by Wu Yuqin did not return for the 7th day. Could it be that they're all dead? A student said in a low voice. It's extremely possible. If it wasn't for the fact that the team was annihilated, 1 or 2 would have returned. When Guo Cheng heard everyone's guesses, he was also burning with anxiety. Of the students of the Tianxian martial school, the only one who survived was Xiao Yuemei, whom he hated the most. I'll go back to the Tianxian martial school first. Brother Yun, you must enter the Star Xian Wu Academy. When the time comes, we will enter the bone refining formation together. Xiao Yuemei said softly. I'm going back too. I'll pass by the Tianxian martial school on the way, so I'll send you off. Du Gui said with a smile. Qin Yun nodded and watched them leave. Chapter 147. Siekuru. The team led by Wu Yuqin had already been killed by Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei and burned to ashes. Even if Guo Cheng went in to look for them, he would not be able to find them. I can finally rest. Qin Yun could not wait to drip his blood on the immortal graveyard diagram. He suspected that Xiao Yuelon, Qi Meilian and his beautiful grand preceptor had all obtained a fortuitous encounter because they had dripped their blood on the immortal graveyard diagram. Mu Rongjun walked over and said with a smile, Brother Yun, you must not turn into a ghost beast. Ba Xie has mastered the technique of killing ghost beasts. Haha. Qin Yun curled his lips and said with a smile, Do you think I'm a weak chicken possessed by a ghost beast? Huazhong laughed loudly, Of course not. Our brother Yun is very powerful. Killing ghost beasts is like cutting grass. When Xie Wufeng saw that Qin Yun was fine, he felt relieved. Then, he entered the cave together to congratulate Qin Yun. When Qin Yun entered the small hall of the cave, he saw the table filled with sumptuous dishes. Then, he began to eat and drink without any hesitation. Mu Rongjun's handsome face was filled with a mischievous smile. He toasted Qin Yun and said, Brother Yun, you're really amazing. To be able to train such an arrogant and cold little girl like Xiao Yuemei into submission, I really admire your technique of controlling a woman. You usually don't show off your skills, but I've really underestimated you. To be honest, Xiao Yuemei and I have known each other since we were young and we call each other brother and sister. Our relationship is very good. I had previously promised to give her a storage spirit artifact, which was why she gave me first place in the Hidden Dragon martial arts competition. When I competed with her, it was just for fun. You should have heard that we didn't use any weapons, right? Qin Yun said with a smile. He had long thought of a more reasonable explanation. Mu Rongjun was in disbelief as he said, You're lying to me, right? Qin Yun said with a smile. Then do you think that I refined the storage bracelet? I've already finished refining it. Then, he took out a storage bracelet and continued, Look, I have another one here. This is for little Meilian. She's also my little sister. Xie Wufeng was slightly surprised. Qi Meilian? His martial spirit seems to be very special. When she was here, I was the one who persuaded her to choose the Star Xian Wu Academy. Huazhong smiled foolishly and said, She's a very innocent little girl. She's kind-hearted and very cute. Mu Rongjun frowned and said, What's her martial spirit? It seems like no one knows about it. Qin Yun had never asked about it before. Now that he heard them mention it, he felt curious. He asked, Boss Xie, what is little Meilian's martial soul? Because Xie Wufeng did not have a martial soul for a period of time, he had a deep understanding of martial souls. The strangest thing about Qi Meilian's martial spirit is, I suddenly forgot. Xie Wufeng's expression changed slightly. I can't remember no matter how I think about it. I remember I've seen it before. Murong Darren also let out a strange cry. I also forgot. I remember that when she first entered the Three Mysterious Academy and tested her martial spirit, I was watching from the side. I'll ask after I enter the Star Xian Wu Academy. Let's drink, said Qin Yun with a smile. He was alarmed. He believed that Qi Meiyan was related to the immortal graveyard diagram, so her martial spirit was definitely not simple. Just like Xiao Yuelan, other than having a mental force martial spirit, she also had a very mysterious martial spirit. After eating and drinking, it was already noon. Qin Yun also entered his room. After entering the room, he closed the stone door and took out the immortal graveyard diagram. Drip some blood and take a look. I hope there won't be too much of a commotion. He forced out a drop of blood from his finger and dripped it onto the immortal graveyard diagram. Then, he stared with wide eyes. A moment later, he said with a frown, "There's no reaction." Just as he finished speaking, the blank immortal graveyard diagram suddenly flashed and an ethereal and gentle voice sounded, "Little Yun? Is that you? Grand Preceptor's sister, where are you?" Qin Yun could not help but shout as he stared intently at the immortal graveyard diagram. This voice belonged to Qin Yun's Crown Prince's Grand Preceptor, Xie Qiru. "Your mother's immortal graveyard diagram has finally been obtained by you," Xie Qiru said with a gentle and sweet smile. "Elder sister Grand Preceptor, where are you?" Qin Yun hurriedly asked. "I'm very worried about you." After a while, Xie Qiru said softly, "I'm fine now. You don't have to worry about me." "Oh right, why did you drip your blood on this immortal graveyard diagram?" "I want to see if I can get anything good." Qin Yun was somewhat disappointed. He really wanted to know Xie Qiru's whereabouts, but she didn't want to say it. Xie Qiru said, "There is something in this immortal graveyard diagram, but I've already taken it out. It's the 9-yang divine spirit. I'll leave it to you." The 9-yang divine spirit was actually taken out from the immortal graveyard diagram. At this moment, Qin Yun finally understood why those ghost beasts were pestering him. It turned out that their relationship was so close. "Little Yun, make good use of the 9-yang divine spirit. It will definitely make you incomparably powerful. We'll meet again if fate wills it." Xie Qiru said goodbye to Qin Yun with a light smile. "Elder sister Grand Preceptor." Qin Yun shouted a few times but did not hear a response. He hurriedly dripped his blood but there was no response. Now, he was certain that Xie Qiru's condition was still stable. However, he did not know where she was. It seemed to be very far away from him. This must be related to the immortal graveyard, Qin Yun thought to himself. He put away the immortal graveyard diagram and let the 9-yang divine spirit appear on his wrist. He frowned and said, "My mental power is very strong now. I wonder if I can open the second pearl." After an hour of trying, he gave up because there was no reaction at all. Originally, he wanted to ask Xie Qiru about the 9-yin divine spirit and the 9-yang divine spirit because he doesn't know anything about them. Especially now, there are evil spirits chasing after his 9-sun divine soul. I will first increase my strength and pass the examination. If everything goes smoothly, I will be able to enter the Star Xian Wu Academy and immediately head to the bone refining formation. Stepping into the 7th level martial body realm will be very fast. If he could step into the 7th level martial body realm at his current age, his potential would not be inferior to Xiao Yuelan's. He took out the tsunami technique and frowned as he flipped through it. Now that he did not have Yang Shiryu to help him explain the difficult points, he needed to understand it himself. This required a lot of time to ponder over the difficult point. Tsunami technique is a profound level martial art. It's very powerful, and it's very suitable for my vibration martial spirit. I have to master it. Qin Yun had heard many rumors that the difficulty of this exam would be very high. Furthermore, it was biased towards the team. The other teams all had a lot of people. Only their team had 4 people. When the time came, the rules of the exam would definitely be very disadvantageous to them. Therefore, he had to master all kinds of martial arts before this. Only then would he be able to increase his strength in a short month. The tsunami technique requires the use of inner strength. The starting point is very high. If you don't know how to use inner strength, you won't be able to cultivate this technique. Chapter 148. Tsunami Technique. A few days had passed and Qin Yun's desk was covered with paper. Those were the things he had comprehended when he was comprehending the tsunami technique. They were all rather messy and needed to be carefully sorted out. I'll be satisfied as long as I can grasp the basics. I'll definitely be able to do it. Qin Yun was very confident in himself. In the next few days, he focused on cultivating the tsunami technique. The other students in the valley were also seriously cultivating their cultivation technique. They wanted to increase their strength as soon as possible so that they could take the exam. Only by passing the examination would he be able to leave the 3 Mysterious Academy and head to the Xian Level Martial Academy. Only then would he have the chance to step into the 7th level martial body realm. Otherwise, with his own strength, it would be difficult for him to step into the 7th level martial body realm in a short period of time. Inside the room, Qin Yun struck out at the wall with his palm. His inner strength whistled and set off a shockwave. He muttered to himself, "If Teacher Yang was here, I would definitely be able to master the tsunami technique in a short period of time. Now, it has taken me an entire 10 days to master it. Right now, I can only unleash 1 shockwave. At the very least, I can unleash 3 shockwaves before I can completely grasp the basics. As long as one could unleash a shockwave, one could be considered to have reached the basics of the tsunami technique. The second and third shockwaves were also within the range of the basics, but their power was even stronger. The initial stage included 4 shockwaves, 5 shockwaves and 6 shockwaves. Qin Yun continued to practice the tsunami technique. Although it was only a shockwave, its power was extremely strong. One had to know that it was produced by inner strength. Not only did he cultivate the tsunami technique, he also cultivated the other martial arts and martial skills. He had cultivated both the flaming light fist and the fire cloud steps to the great perfection stage. However, it was not easy to learn to perfection. Not only did it require time to comprehend, it also required a strong physique and cultivation base. He could continue to learn the 10,000 horse palm and the mountain quaking style. These were relatively difficult to learn and their power was not small. Qin Yun could comprehend and learn many different martial arts by himself. He could also gain a deeper understanding of cultivation technique. It would be easier for him to understand other cultivation techniques in the future. It was because Yang Shiyu often read all sorts of martial arts books that she had a good understanding of the difficulties of martial arts. I've finally reached the true level. The tsunami wave I unleash can be shaken 3 times. After Qin Yun struck out with his inner strength, 3 ripples would appear. It was like a wave of water, wave after wave with even more power. He laughed self-deprecatingly and said, "It took me half a month to grasp the basics." He felt that if Yang Shiyu was here, it would take at most 5 days to reach 3 shockwaves. Back then, it was because of Yang Shiyu's guidance that he was able to quickly master the 10,000 horse palm and mountain quaking stance. Now that he had mastered the 10,000 horse palm, he could use his inner strength to attack. It was as if he had the strength of 1,000 horses, but it consumed a lot of inner strength. On the other hand, mastery of the shaking mountain form would allow one to release a mountain-moving might, and it would also be very powerful. I have mastered these martial arts so well. An ordinary 6th-level martial body is definitely not my match. I just wonder how it would be compared to the 7th level martial body? Qin Yun thought to himself. The 6th-style Wind Slayer and the 6th-style Forging Dragon were the ones he was most familiar with and often used, so he was able to learn them very quickly. He had more or less learned all the cultivation methods he could, and there were still 10 days left before the assessment. There are only 10 days left. But I don't think it's enough. There will definitely be people targeting us in this exam, so I have to make myself stronger. Otherwise, I won't be able to pass the exam. Qin Yun was not worried. He was very sure that there would be people obstructing him, especially the people from the Tianxian Martial School and the Blue Spirit Star Palace. They did not want to see him enter the Black Level Martial Arts Academy the most. He had been learning martial arts for more than 20 days and had not had a good time to relax. Even now, he was extremely nervous because if he could not pass the exam this time, the next time would be half a year later. In 3 or 4 months, Xiao Yuelan and Qin Zhengfeng's engagement ceremony will begin. When the time comes, they will definitely inform me to go, especially that bitch, the Empress. She definitely wants me to go to the scene to see her son and Xiao Yuelan get engaged. At this moment, Qin Yun was soaking in a large bathtub. He released flames and heated the water in the bathtub. This could relax his entire body. Proper relaxation was also of great help to his body. Suddenly, he looked at the heavenly lion totem on his arm and couldn't help but recall the words of the golden fire lion. The big lion said that the heavenly lion totem needs to be comprehended. Could it be that I can really comprehend something? With doubt, he quietly looked at the heavenly lion totem on his arm. He carefully pondered over every single line, as if he wanted to see something from it. Just like that, he couldn't help but be engrossed in it. He didn't even notice that the water in the bathtub had turned cold. Strange, I seem to be able to see the heavenly lion moving. Qin Yun did not know why he had such a feeling. This made him secretly pleasantly surprised as he continued to watch with rapt attention. A few hours later, he suddenly heard a roar. The lion's roar resounded in my ears. Qin Yun was jolted awake. Then, he closed his eyes and drew the heavenly lion totem in his mind. Roar, roar, roar. After he drew the heavenly lion totem in his mind, he could clearly hear the lion's roar. He could even see the patterns on the heavenly lion totem surging. It seemed to be a method of using inner strength. He hurriedly memorized the changes in the heavenly lion totem's roar. My arm has a certain amount of heavenly lion bloodline. Maybe I can also master the heavenly lion's cultivation technique. Qin Yun opened his eyes and carefully recalled the changes in the heavenly lion totem in his mind. Then, according to what he had comprehended, he followed the changes in the heavenly lion totem and controlled a surge of inner strength to surge out from his inner yuan and into his throat. Very quickly, he felt his throat become blocked and couldn't help but roar. Roar! The roar was like the roar of an angry lion. Qin Yun was given a fright. He never expected that he would accidentally learn the lion's roar. Furthermore, this was not an ordinary roar. It could also release a very strong wave of inner force. If I were to suddenly roar at someone during a martial arts competition, it would definitely have a great effect. He couldn't help but become excited when he thought of this. Then, he closed his eyes and once again tried to comprehend the heavenly lion totem. I'll continue to learn. Maybe I can even use my inner strength to roar. The power will definitely be stronger. Not long after, his comprehension of this move became clearer and clearer. The name of this move, Heavenly Lion's Roar, even appeared in his mind. Looks like we've really obtained the inheritance of the Heavenly Lion. I have to continue comprehending it. Maybe I can even master a few more moves. Qin Yun continued to look at the Heavenly Lion totem on his arm and focused on comprehending the other Heavenly Lion martial art. The totem inheritance was very mysterious. It was just a totem, but it contained such a mysterious energy and could even comprehend martial arts from it. Chapter 149. The Last Three Mysteries Academy. The puppet beast created from the Heavenly Lion Totem was also very powerful. From this, it could be seen that the Heavenly Lion Totem rune itself was very powerful and belonged to a type of powerful rune. Soon, Qin Yun comprehended another martial art from the Heavenly Lion Totem. Heavenly Lion Fighting Dragon Claw. This was a very strong claw technique. It could use inner strength to simulate sharp lion claws. When used on the battlefield, it could make the illusion of a translucent lion claw appear on the outside of one's palm. When hit, this lion claw illusion would have a very strong power, just like a real lion claw. Qin Yun used this move to leave a deep claw mark on the stone wall. The Heavenly Lion inheritance can actually be grasped by humans. How strange! With a thought, Qin Yun's palm overflowed with inner force, forming a translucent lion claw. Furthermore, it was very large. He felt that if an unguarded person was hit, they would definitely be cut into pieces by a few large claws. If I were to use it myself, I would have to be very careful. He was worried that he would cut himself. The lion claws formed from internal energy were as sharp as real knives. He had heard of similar techniques before, but he had never had the chance to learn them. Now that he had mastered it, he could feel how terrifying it was. With this move, even if I can't use a weapon, I can use it as a substitute to execute the 6-style Wind Slayer. The lion's claw had 4 long claws that could move, just like 4 short knives. If the 6-style Wind Slayer was used, the power of the 4 knives could be imagined. The Heavenly Lion is also a fire lion. It is extremely helpful for me to use the fire internal energy. Qin Yun secretly guessed that the reason he was able to obtain the recognition of the Heavenly Lion Totem was most likely because of the purple-gold fire martial spirit. In the next 2 days, he did not manage to comprehend any martial arts from the Heavenly Lion Totem, so he could only give up. The Heavenly Lion Totem had brought him too many surprises, and he was very content. In the future, he could continue to use the Heavenly Lion Totem to refine stronger puppet beasts or weapons. Qin Yun's cultivation technique had improved greatly, and as a result, his strength had increased greatly. It could be said that he was at the peak of the 6th-level martial body realm. When he came out of the room, he saw Xie Wufeng in the hall. The entire valley was shrouded in a very tense atmosphere. Everyone was making their final dash. Xie Wufeng was the only one who was leisurely drinking tea and reading a book. Although he only had his left hand left, he was very optimistic. "Boss Xie, it seems like you are very confident in this assessment," Qin Yun said with a smile. Even he felt very nervous. Xie Wufeng poured a cup of tea and said indifferently, "This test is very disadvantageous to us, but no matter what, we need to give it our all. Otherwise, we won't have any chance. 2 days ago, Dean Bai came to tell me that after this examination, the 3 Mysterious Academy will be cancelled. If I want to enter the Black Level Martial Arts Academy in the future, I will need to sign many treaties with the Black Level Martial Arts Academy." Qin Yun walked over and drank the cup of tea. He felt even more pressure in his heart. Xie Wufeng said, "Right now, the 3 Black Level Martial Academies all want to control the outstanding students for a period of time to obtain more benefits for them. Long before Blue Spirit Star Palace appeared, the Tianxian Martial School and the Ling Xian Wu Academy were already like this." Seeing that Qin Yun is somewhat nervous, he could not help but laugh and said, "You need to relax. Being so tense will affect your performance. And I will go out for a walk." Qin Yun nodded. The reason why Xie Wufeng was able to be so relaxed was because he had participated in many examinations. Huazhong and Murong Darren were also in their rooms, bitterly cultivating their martial skills so that they could become stronger during the examination. Right now, they were not facing the examination alone, but an entire team. If one was a responsible person, they would not want to become a burden to the team, so they worked very hard to cultivate. Qin Yun walked out of the cave and saw some changes outside the valley. In particular, there were many platforms halfway up the mountain that surrounded the valley. There were many exquisitely built wooden houses on these platforms. Dean Bai, dressed in white, was leisurely strolling in the middle of the martial arts practice field. He looked to be in high spirit. Qin Yun walked over and said with a smile, "Dean Bai, I heard that after this examination, there will be no more Three Mysterious Academy, right?" Dean Bai nodded. "It's mainly because there's a problem with the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range that the Three Mysterious Academy was cancelled. In the future, the Black Level Martial Arts Academy will also have its own recruitment method." Qin Yun looked at the wooden houses built halfway up the mountain and asked, "Why did you build those houses?" "The teachers of Blue Spirit Star Palace, Tianxian Martial School, and Lingxian Wu Academy came to build it. During the examination, they will be watching from above." Dean Bai said, "Because it's the final exam, it's very important. Many people will come to watch." 3 more days, it's going to be soon. Qin Yun suddenly felt nervous. Dean Bai patted Qin Yun on the shoulder and said, "Qin Yun, all of you must work hard and do your best. Otherwise, there will be no Three Mysterious Academy in the future. It won't be a problem for you to enter the Starxian Wu Academy, but it might be difficult for them." Suddenly, a gust of wind came from the sky and many people appeared. Qin Yun sensed one of the auras. It came from Zhuo Chuan and Ho Xingfeng. They had also come to watch the final exam of the Three Mysterious Academy. Dean Bai said with a smile, "There are quite a few people here." Qin Yun could only see figures landing on the wooden houses on the mountainside. The examination would be held in the training grounds of the valley. As long as one had good eyesight, they would be able to see the examination clearly from the mountainside. "There are quite a few people from Blue Spirit Star Palace. What are they doing here? They are the most troublesome," Qin Yun said with a light snort. "Coming here will only increase the pressure on others." Dean Bai chuckled and said, "Don't worry, they are only here to take a look and will not interfere. The specific contents of the examination will be planned by the 3 Xian-level martial academies and the Divine Inscription Palace. At most, the Blue Spirit Star Palace will only provide assistance." Qin Yun did not believe that the Blue Spirit Star Palace would not interfere. Suddenly, Principal Zhang and Duan Qian flew down from above and landed beside Qin Yun. "Dean Zhang, Grandpa Duan, hello." Qin Yun was very happy to see them. Duan Qian said with a smile, "Kid, you seem to have become a lot stronger." Principal Zhang said, "Qin Yun, Teacher Yang is here as well. However, it's not convenient for her to come down to see you. You can't disappoint her." Yang sure you had actually come as well. For some reason, Qin Yun felt a surge of energy in his heart. All the nervousness from before had been swept away. Duan Qian said, "Not only is Teacher Yang here, many disciples of Blue Spirit Star Palace are here as well. For example, Xiao Yuelan, Qin Jingfeng and Xiao Yanglong." Chapter 150. Power Accumulating Pearl. When Qin Yun heard the name Xiao Yanglong, he could not help but clench his fists tightly. That was Yang Shiyu's fiancé. Principal Zhang looked at the wooden houses on the mountainside and said, "Most of the people who came here are here for you. They want to see how much you have grown. They all thought that your martial soul was crippled, so they wanted to see for themselves whether or not your strength had regressed." Everyone knew that in this examination, all the students would do their best, because this was their last chance. Therefore, many people took the opportunity to see Qin Yun's strength. In order to pass the examination and enter the Starxian Wu Academy, they would definitely do their best to undergo various examinations and display their strength. After Qin Yun returned to the cave, Xie Wufeng saw the change in his eyes. Brother Yun, what's going on outside? You don't seem to be too nervous anymore. You're full of fighting spirit. Xie Wufeng said with a smile. Qin Yun smiled and said, There are many people outside. My teacher at the Hua Ling Wu Academy is also here. With her watching me, I won't be nervous anymore. In the past, when he went to participate in various martial arts competitions and examinations, Yang Shiyu would always be watching from the side, which greatly encouraged him. Xie Wufeng also knew that Qin Yun's teacher was Yang Shiyu. She was an extremely talented woman who was at the 9th level martial body realm at a young age. That's great. You must believe in our own strength. We will definitely be able to pass the test. Qin Yun entered the room. He wanted to familiarize himself with the usage of various martial skills in this final period of time. He wanted to ensure that he could easily execute them at the critical moment. 3 days later, Murong Darren and Huozhong came out of their rooms. After they found out about many things, a surge of motivation surged in their hearts because this was their last chance to enter the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. Qin Yun was dressed in black as usual, while Xie Wufeng was dressed in white. Murong Darren was dressed the best. He was dressed in a luxurious red robe. Huozhong was a big guy, so he was wearing coarse hemp clothes. He felt that it would rot anyway, so he didn't need to wear too much. Previously, Dean Bai had told them that they couldn't wear light pattern equipment, so they all put it away. There would definitely be a martial arts competition in this kind of assessment, but he didn't know how it would be done. Moreover, it would definitely not be simple because it required teamwork. Let's go. Xie Wufeng walked in front, brimming with confidence, his expression calm, not the slightest hint of discouragement due to losing an arm. Qin Yun, Huozhong, and Murong Darren did not feel nervous. They walked steadily out of the cave. Outside, many teams had lined up. The number of people was not as high as when Qin Yun entered. The main reason was that there were many casualties after going out for trials. Currently, there were less than 200 people in the 10 teams. Qin Yun looked at the mountainside surrounding the valley. There were many exquisite wooden huts built here and there. Those people were also watching the test from inside the wooden hut. When Dean Bai saw that everyone was present, he shouted, All teams, listen up. The first round of tests will begin next. Only by passing the 3 rounds of examination will you be able to enter the Black Level Martial Arts Academy you have chosen. In the first round of the test, you will need to fill a large strength storing pearl with inner qi. You will need to complete it within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Furthermore, the strength of the inner qi in the strength storing pearl must be able to withstand the test. Bring the power storing pearls up. The energy storing pearl was very large. It was more than 2 meters wide and completely transparent. It looked like a very large crystal pearl. Halfway up the mountain, in a relatively large wooden house, there was a very gorgeous hall. Inside sat many experts of the 9th level martial body and the martial Dao realm. Yang Shiyu, Duan Qian and Principal Zhang were also here. There were also Master Wei, the Duke of Yan and the other old officials of Tianqin. They seemed to have gathered here on purpose. Yang Shiyu entered the Blue Spirit Star Palace's Eastern Palace and became a disciple of the Eastern Palace. She also wore a dark blue dress, making her look cold and refined. Her eyes were cold as she looked at Master Wei, who was walking over. Miss Yang, Qin Yun was once your student and you seem to be extremely confident in him. How about I make a bet with you? I'll bet that his team won't be able to pass the first round. The more you bet, the more I'll lose. Master Wei chuckled. When Duan Qian heard this, he said with a smile, Master Wei, can you let me participate in such an interesting matter? Principal Zhang laughed and said, I'll do it too. The Duke of Yan said with a sneer, Qin Yun and company need to fill up such a large power storing pearl in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. It's impossible for them to complete it. You actually think that they can pass this round of examination? I bet 5,000 purple coins. These are all the crystal coins I have on me. Yang Shiyu's voice was cold and filled with confidence. She said with a sneer, "When the time comes, if you can't afford to pay 5 times, I'll chop off your head." Master Wei immediately quivered. 5,000 purple coins, that was 5 million crystal coins. If he lost, he would have to pay 25 million. He agreed immediately, "All right." He rejected Duan Qian and Principal Zhang's participation. If it was just a bet with Yang Shiyu, he could still afford to lose. If he added Duan Qian and Principal Zhang, he would not be able to do so. Yang Shiyu took out 5,000 purple coins and handed it to Master Wei. She said coldly, "Take it." When the Duke of Yen saw this, he said with a smile, "Master Wei, congratulations on making a fortune." Duan Qian said with a smile, "Duke of Yen, why don't you play with me? Let's play. I'll pay 5 to 1. How much do you want to bet?" The Duke of Yen also wanted to make a profit. This was because he could tell that Duan Qian and company had blind confidence in Qin Yun. Especially Yang Shiyu. Without even thinking, she took out 5 million crystal coins to bet. "I'll also bet 5,000 purple coins," Duan Qian said with a smile. The Duke of Yen smiled as he took Duan Qian's purple coins. He felt that they would definitely be his. Principal Zhang was a little worried as he said in a low voice, "This assessment is extremely disadvantageous to Qin Yun's team. The other teams have more than 10 people, but Qin Yun's team only has 4 people. It is indeed difficult to fill up this gigantic energy-storing pearl within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Even 4 7th-level martial body cultivators might not be able to do it." Master Wei said with a smile, "So, I'm definitely going to win. Qin Yun has 1 spiritual vein and Xie Wufeng has 2 spiritual veins. A team like theirs is destined to be unable to pass this assessment." At this moment, the huge crystal beads were brought up and placed in front of each team. Xie Wufeng was worried that someone would cheat, so he went to pick one himself. Only then did he feel relieved. The captain of a small team laughed loudly and said, "Even if I give you 2 incense sticks of time, you still won't be able to fill up the energy-storing pearl. Just give up." Xie Wufeng and Qin Yun looked calm. Although Huazhong and Murong Darren found it difficult, they believed in their own strength. In the martial arts practice field, 10 crystal beads that were 2 meters wide were lined up in a row. Each crystal bead was surrounded by students, waiting for the assessment to begin. Chapter 151. Primordial Spirit Condensation. After the announcement was made, all the students extended their hands out and pressed them on the large crystal bead. They crazily poured their inner force into it. If it was filled with inner force, the large crystal bead would shine. However, from the very beginning, a faint mist appeared within the 9 large crystal beads. In these 9 teams, there were more than 10 people at the 6th level of the martial body realm. They were frantically injecting their inner force into the bead, quickly causing a change to occur. Only Qin Yun and company's crystal bead did not show any signs of improvement. This was something that everyone had expected. Master Wei looked at the ice-cold Yang Shiyu and said with a smile, "Did you see that? The 4 of them are only at this level." The Duke of Yen also smiled happily as he looked at Duan Qian. "General Director, I'm sorry, but you've lost for sure." In the martial arts practice field, the other teams looked at Xie Wufeng and company and could not help but sneer. Xie Wufeng said to Qin Yun, "Brother Yun, let's begin." Qin Yun nodded and closed his eyes. He controlled his primordial spirit to be released. Suddenly, a sparkling and translucent thread flowed out of his body and slowly rose into the air. It rose very high. Xie Wufeng was the same. However, the threads that flowed out were thicker than Qin Yun's. This was their primordial spirit. The primordial spirit was connected to the inner yuan. It rose into the air and could quickly absorb spiritual energy. They actually used their primordial spirits. Principal Zhang's eyes lit up as he chuckled. Qin Yun has long cultivated his primordial spirit. I never expected that this young man named Xie Wufeng would be able to do so as well. The primordial spirit can quickly absorb more spiritual energy. It's said that it's 10 times faster than normal. Duan Qian laughed. Master Wei sneered. It's just Qin Yun's bloodline. How much can he absorb? That one-armed man called Xie Wufeng only has 2 spiritual veins. It's such a waste for them to be able to cultivate a primordial spirit. Even many of the 9th-level martial body cultivators here might not be able to cultivate a primordial spirit, so they were secretly jealous. After Qin Yun and Xie Wufeng released their primordial spirits, a mist appeared inside their large energy-storing pearl. Not enough, Qin Yun said in a low voice before looking at the long thread. With a thought, he closed his eyes and controlled the thread to turn into a spirit inscription. This spirit inscription was the most ordinary qi gathering mark and was not complicated at all. Therefore, under Qin Yun's control, the spirit threads quickly turned into qi gathering mark. As expected, after the primordial spirit threads turned into qi gathering marks, they began to frantically absorb the qi gathering marks. Qin Yun was pleasantly surprised and said, Boss Xie, relax your control over your primordial spirit. I will use my mental energy to transform your primordial spirit threads into the form of a qi gathering rune. Xie Wufeng also noticed that the speed at which Qin Yun injected his internal force suddenly increased by a lot. He nodded. Qin Yun quickly turned Xie Wufeng's essence, soul threads into qi gathering runes, Ling spirit threads. Then, Qi 2 the sky above. Spiritual energy 2 spirit energy whirlpools appeared. In the valley. All. They Spirit, the qi, spirit energy. It was originally transparent, but now a hazy white mist appeared. It was no longer transparent. 2 1 1 1 1 1. He qi 1 1. The experts watching the exam were all moved. The speed at which the primordial spirit transformed into a qi gathering mark and drew in spiritual energy was so terrifying. What was funny was that many of the 9th-level martial body cultivators here were unable to cultivate a primordial spirit. Duan Qian laughed and said, Duke of Yen, I think the results of this exam are very clear. The Duke of Yen and Master Wei's expressions were extremely ugly. If they lost, they would lose their lives. In another wooden house, Zhuochuan, who was dressed in a red robe, chuckled and said, Old Ho, this Xie Wufeng is also a very strange fellow. He has 2 spiritual veins and no martial spirit, but he can cultivate a primordial spirit. Furthermore, he wants to enter your Star Xian Wu Academy. Ho Xingfeng nodded and said, he and Qin Yun are both very hard-working people. Du Gui told me before that Xie Wufeng's elemental energy is extremely terrifying. The power it contains is comparable to the strength of an 8th-level martial body realm. Zhuochuan's expression changed slightly. What's going on? It's actually so terrifying. Ho Xingfeng shook his head. He did not know either. Below, the people from the other teams felt uncomfortable when they saw Qin Yun and company's strength-storing pearl being quickly infused with inner force. They had thought that after this round of examination, Xie Wufeng and company would be able to scram. But now they were even faster than them. There was still half of that incense stick left. Amongst the 10 crystal pearls, the one with the thickest white mist was Qin Yun's. Without a doubt, they were in the lead. Above their heads, there were 2 visible spiritual energy cyclones. They were the most shocking. This was because even people with the 7 yang spirit vein would find it difficult to absorb spiritual energy so crazily. This kind of test is indeed very targeted at us. If we do not cultivate a primordial spirit, we will definitely not be able to complete it. Xie Wufeng sneered. He could finally relax. A yellow-clothed middle-aged man came to Dean Bai's side. He was the teacher of the Tianxian martial school, Lu Ning. When Qin Yun saw Lu Ning, he knew that nothing good had happened. Indeed, Lu Ning's face was filled with a sneer as he said, "After filling it with inner force, we still need to test the strength of our inner force before we can be considered to have passed. I will be the one to conduct this test. Qin Yun, for you to temporarily absorb spiritual energy like this, the strength of your inner force cannot be guaranteed. The inner force in your strength-storing pearl might not be that strong." Hearing his words, Master Wei and the Duke of Yin heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ning was quite familiar with them, and he hated Qin Yun very much. Therefore, he would definitely not go easy on them. Qin Yun asked, "How do we test the strength of the strength-storing pearl?" Lu Ning said with a treacherous smile, "If the strength-storing pearl is filled with a very strong inner force, it will be very bloated and will not be able to withstand the shock. With just a light palm strike, it will be able to shatter the strength-storing pearl. Therefore, when the time comes, I will go over and hit the strength-storing pearl 3 times. If I am unable to break the strength-storing pearl within 3 palms, then the strength of my inner force is not up to standard." Xie Wufeng's face darkened slightly as he said in a low voice, "What if you don't use your strength? Furthermore, if you break the strength-storing pearl, you will also be injured. This method of testing doesn't seem to be fair. I am a martial artist at the 9th level martial body realm. I will protect myself. You don't have to worry about me," Lu Ning said with a smile. "I guarantee that the test will be fair. With so many experts watching, I don't dare to deceive them." Seeing how treacherous his smile was, he knew that he was going to cheat. Qin Yun's heart stirred as he released a large amount of vibrating inner force and poured it into the strength-storing pearl. Then, he released a steady stream of mental energy and poured it into the strength-storing pearl along with the vibrating inner force. Xie Wufeng also saw that Qin Yun's face was somewhat pale, as though he had overexerted himself. However, he did not ask anything. Qin Yun had indeed used too much strength because he was crazily injecting vibration, inner force and mental energy into the strength-storing pearl. Chapter 152. Thunderstorm Bear. The 5 teams that failed all walked to the side of the martial arts practice field dejectedly, waiting for their families to come and pick them up. Dean Bai shouted, "Now, let's begin the inner force strength test." He took away 4 large power-storing pearls and protected them behind him, leaving only one in the middle of the martial arts practice field for Lu Ning to test its strength. Qin Yun sneered in his heart. The reason why he did not let Dean Bai test it was because he could not do anything to it. Lu Ning stood beside the 2-meter large power-storing pearl. After releasing a barrier, he struck out with his palm. Boom! With an explosive sound, the power-storing pearl released a violent gust of wind that swept through the entire valley. Those who were near it were all blown away. Lu Ning shouted, "Team 2 is qualified. Now let's test the 6th team." Dean Bai carefully raised a power-storing pearl and placed it in the middle of the martial arts practice field. Then, he hurriedly retreated to protect the other 3 power-storing pearls to prevent them from being affected. Just like before, Lu Ning released his protective shield and began striking out with his palm. This time, he struck out with 3 palms before the pearl exploded. Team 6 is qualified. Next is Team 7. The next 7 and 9 teams were qualified. Qin Yun and company were the 10th team. Finally, it was Qin Yun's 10th team's turn. Everyone perked up. Yang Shiyu also frowned as she watched. She said coldly, "Lu Ning has a grudge with Qin Yun. To actually let him take the test, it's clearly unfair." Duan Qian's face was also filled with anger. "What's going on? Look at Lu Ning. He didn't even release his protective barrier. It's obvious that he's going to do something." Master Wei laughed loudly. Lu Ning is a good teacher. You must trust him. When the Duke of Yen saw that Lu Ning was present, he knew that Qin Yun and company would not be able to pass. He said with a smile, "We can completely trust Lu Ning. After all, this is the test that the 3 black-level martial academies and the Divine Inscription Palace sent him. Why do you suspect him?" At the side of the martial arts practice field, Murong Daran and company were gnashing their teeth in anger. Huizhong gritted his teeth and cursed in a low voice, "This bastard, I'm going to kill him. He's clearly not letting us pass." Murong Daran also cursed, "If he really doesn't let us pass, I'll dig out his ancestral grave." Qin Yun was expressionless as he looked seriously at Lu Ning's palm. Lu Ning's palm strike seemed to be very powerful. When it touched the power-storing bead, it made a crisp sound. However, the power-storing bead did not explode. "I hit it so hard, but it didn't explode. I already said that the inner strength of their strength-storing pearl is not strong enough, so I don't need to use the chi cover at all." Lu Ning smiled complacently, and then, he struck down with his palm again. It was the second palm strike, but there was still no movement. Everyone began to discuss, thinking that Lu Ning was right. This method of absorbing spiritual qi quickly made the strength of the inner force very low. Both Qin Yun and Xie Wufeng believed that when Lu Ning attacked with his palm, he cleverly withdrew his force. Therefore, although it looked like a powerful strike, it was actually just a light touch. Lu Ning laughed. "This is the 3rd time. I will use more strength." As expected, Lu Ning struck with great force. When his palm struck, his face was filled with a complacent smile. This time, the power-storing pearl actually shook and suddenly exploded. Boom! This loud sound was even louder than the previous 4 energy-storing pearls. The power unleashed by the power-storing pearl was even more terrifying. Qin Yun and the other students were beside the martial arts practice field. They were blown to the edge of the valley and crashed into the mountain wall. The huge mountains around the valley began to shake violently, causing many rocks to fall. The huge stone bricks on the ground in the middle of the martial arts practice field were all blasted apart. With such an explosion, the entire valley was in a mess. The houses that the students lived in were all torn to pieces by the violent inner force wave. Even the wooden houses that had just been built halfway up the mountain had no choice but to run out because of the blast. Lu Ning. Guo Cheng flew down from the mountainside and searched for Lu Ning. He saw a badly mutilated person sticking to a mountain wall and slowly sliding down. Dien Bai was in the martial Dao realm, so he was fine. He flew over to Lu Ning's side and checked. With a frown, he said, "Dead." Lu Ning was dead. Everyone let out a burst of exclamations. This was a teacher of the Tianxian martial school, yet he died just like that. Murong Daran, Huizhong and Xie Wufeng were all filled with admiration for Qin Yun. Although they did not know how Qin Yun had done it, they were certain that it was Qin Yun who had done it. Guo Cheng looked angrily at Qin Yun and company. He wanted to say something but did not say a word. That was because Lu Ning had brought this upon himself. When he struck the power-storing pearl, he thought that it would not explode, so he did not release a protective barrier. However, it exploded in the end and its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ning was caught off guard and was killed by the shockwave. Dien Bai announced loudly, "The first round of the examination is over. Team 2, Team 6, Team 7, Team 9 and Team 10 have passed the first round of the examination. Rest for 2 hours and begin the second round." Yang Shiyu sneered and looked at the ashen-faced Master Wei. She said coldly, "You've lost. Hurry up and hand over the 25,000 purple coins." The Duke of Yan's face was also pale from losing. His entire body was trembling slightly as he muttered, "Impossible, impossible, this is impossible. How could the 4 of them fill up such a large power-storing pearl?" Duan Xian smiled and said, "Quickly take out 25,000 purple coins and give it to me." If you owe me a debt, I'll use your mansion to pay it off. And your old life. With Yang Shiyu and Duan Qian here, the Duke of Yen and Master Wei could not escape. Therefore, they could only hand over the purple coins with a pained heart. Xie Wufeng smiled and patted Qin Yun on the shoulder. He said, Lu Ning is courting death. Don't take it to heart. Qin Yun smiled faintly. He had poured a large amount of vibration, inner force and mental force into the power-storing pearl. Therefore, under the control of his mind, he could cause the vibrating inner force inside to fluctuate and explode with intense energy. Then, he could detonate the power-storing pearl that was filled with inner force. This kind of power was even greater than directly exploding it. Guo Cheng carried Lu Ning's corpse and flew up angrily. He naturally knew that this matter was not that simple, but he could not say it out loud. This was because Lu Ning was the one who had done it first. Dean Bai announced loudly, the second round of the exam is to attack Blue Spirit Star Palace's Class 8 demonic beast, the Colossal Thunderstorm Bear. You can use weapons but you can't fly or climb the rock walls. You need to strike the Colossal Thunderstorm Bear 10 times and then you have to hold on for an hour. Furthermore, no team member can die within an hour or it will be considered a failure. He could use weapons. When Qin Yun heard this, he revealed a look of joy and said with a smile, It's good that you can use weapons. Huazhong took out his big rod and said with a grin, I can finally use my rod. This round of the exam shouldn't be too difficult. Xie Wufeng nodded, as long as it's fair. With our strength, it's not a big problem to hit a Class 8 demonic beast 10 times. Hiding from the Colossal Thunderstorm Bear in the valley for an hour without any team member dying is not a problem. The members of the other teams also thought so. Just as they thought that this round of assessment would be easy, a few bear roars suddenly sounded out. 2 3-meter-tall white colossal thunderstorm bears slowly walked in from the entrance of the valley. Chapter 153. Evil Beast Transformation. If it was just one colossal thunderstorm bear, it might not be too difficult to deal with. After all, the valley was so big that it was easy to hide a bear. However, it would be very difficult to hide 2 bears. The colossal thunderstorm bear was a rank 8 demonic beast, equivalent to a martial artist at the 8th level of the martial body realm. Qin Yun said, Boss, yeah, this shouldn't have much of an impact on us, right? We have fewer people, so it's easier for us to get separated. If the other teams have more people, it's easier for them to die. As long as they hit it 10 times and held on for an hour, they would be able to pass the test. No one could die within an hour. It was not easy, but it was not difficult either. Xie Wufeng was thinking about a plan when he said, when the time comes, we'll split into 2 groups. Second brother Morong and I, you and third brother Hua, we'll each deal with a bear. Mu Rongjun said with a smile, we have the advantage of having fewer people. They have so many people, so the 2 giant bears might be able to kill 1 or 2 of them if they charge around randomly. Qin Yun and company nodded in agreement with Xie Wufeng's tactic. After the break, a team went on stage. The teams that did not go on stage stayed at the entrance of a large cave with Dean Bai. It was also very safe to watch the battle from here. There were 15 people in the team that went on stage. They all took out various types of weapons. They were all relatively long, such as whips and long rods. If they didn't get too close to the giant bear, it would be easier to achieve their goal. Huazhong said with a smile, I also have a stick. When the time comes, it'll be much easier to fight. The 2 colossal thunderstorm bears had a large talisman stuck on their bodies. When Mu Rongjun saw it, he asked, What is that? Qin Yun said, That's a beast-taming talisman array. When it's placed on the back of a fierce beast, it can make the fierce beast docile. Refining such a talisman array requires a very strong mental strength. Even the current me is unable to refine it. Brother Yun, your mental strength is very strong now, but you're still unable to refine it. It seems like the person who refined this talisman array is very strong, Huozhong said in surprise. After the talisman arrays on the two colossal thunderstorm bears were removed, they immediately became extremely berserk. The elders on the bears' backs also floated into the air. At this moment, the second round of the exam had begun. The colossal thunder bear was extremely savage, and its killing intent was very heavy. It did not seem like a docile demon beast. If this continued, sooner or later it would become an evil beast. Roar. After a thunderstorm bear roared, it opened its mouth and spat out a beam of lightning. It carried a very strong flame as it swept across the group of students. Since he couldn't fly or climb the rock walls, it was extremely difficult for him to dodge the lightning fire. From the very beginning, the students were already in a very dangerous situation. This valley is a coliseum. A student in the cave side. Let alone two colossal thunderstorm bears, even one is not easy to deal with. Fortunately, we were not the first to go up, otherwise we would have been caught off guard. Team 2 won't be able to hold on for long. Dean Bai shouted to the students who were running around in the valley, if you can't hold on, you can choose to give up, but don't lose your life because of this. Qin Yun and company all had solemn expressions. This was because the thunderstorm bear was stronger than they had imagined. It could constantly spew out lightning fire, and its movements were also very agile. Follow the tactics we discussed just now, Xie Wufeng said in a deep voice. In the valley, the dozen or so students gradually familiarized themselves with the colossal thunderstorm bear's attacks after running around for less than an hour. Then, they began to work together. Some of them were in charge of attracting the bear's attention, while others were in charge of attacking. Xie Wufeng and the others were also paying close attention to their tactics, which could provide them with a certain amount of experience. The tactics of Team 2 had a pretty good effect. After a portion of them successfully attracted the attention of the colossal thunderstorm bear, the others quickly rushed over and attacked the colossal thunderstorm bear. When Dean Bai saw this, he hurriedly shouted, Team 2, finish attacking the colossal thunderstorm bear 10 times. There's still half of the time left. The hourglass was at his feet and half of the sand had yet to leak out. The previous round of fierce attacks had allowed Team 2 to complete their attacks in an instant. Now, as long as they could hold on for less than an hour, they would be considered to have passed. This round of assessment was equivalent to them completing half of it. Xie Wufeng, don't even think about using this tactic. That's because they have a lot of people and you only have 4. A captain smiled and said, it's actually quite helpful to us. What the captain said is correct, but Xie Wufeng and Qin Yun feel that there are areas that they can learn from. The colossal thunderstorm bear in the valley became even more ferocious. It let out waves of wild roars that were extremely frightening. What was even more terrifying was that the thunderstorm bear's leather armor was originally white, but now it was gradually changing color and turning gray. Not good, the thunderstorm bear is turning into an evil beast. Dean Bai frowned. An old man from Blue Spirit Star Palace flew over and said, the assessment will continue. The giant bear in the form of an evil beast will not affect the assessment. The students cursed in their hearts. A demon beast that had transformed into an evil beast was the most terrifying. At this moment, the colossal thunderstorm bear was incomparably ferocious. It kept charging around randomly, causing the mountains to shake. The students of Team 2 were also scared out of their wits and ran around in all directions. Gasped when they saw this. They firmly believed that this student was dead for sure. Sure enough, the colossal thunderstorm bear rushed over and smashed the student, who was covered in flames, into pieces with a single palm strike. Team 2 has failed. Dean Bai and a few elders hurriedly flew out and threw out ropes to pick up the students in the valley. The death of one person meant failure, and all their previous efforts would be wasted. Qin Yun sighed slightly. This assessment was indeed very difficult. Without sufficient strength, there was no way to pass it. Team 6, it's your turn. After Dean Bai returned, he looked at the students of Team 6. If you have decided to participate in this round of assessment, then walk out of the cave. The people of Team 6 suddenly hesitated. It was obvious that they had been suppressed by the thunderstorm bear. We forfeit. The captain of Team 6 made his decision and said, "All right, Team 7. What about you?" Dean Bai looked at the people of Team 7. Team 7 decisively walked out of the cave and charged at the two colossal thunderstorm bears. They had also discussed their tactics. From the very beginning, they would stall for time until the last moment before attacking. This was because even if they completed 10 attacks in the beginning, they might not be able to pass the assessment. If they were to be killed like Team 2, it would mean that they had failed and all their previous efforts would have been in vain. Therefore, from the very beginning, they had to protect their own lives. They also had very good teamwork. For example, when they saw their teammates being chased by the colossal thunderstorm bear, the nearby team members would go over to attract the colossal thunderstorm bear's attention or throw stones to lure it away. Chapter 154. Making things difficult everywhere. Qin Yun looked at the 7th team in the valley and nodded to himself. This 13-man team had performed very well. Their overall quality was very high. Even when facing a Class 8 thunderstorm bear, they could still calmly deal with it. If this goes on, they should be able to pass this round of assessment. Mu Rongjun said, "The strength of the 7th team has always been pretty good. I remember that they are going to enter the Ling Xian Wu Academy." Huazhong took out his rod and wiped it. He said, "If it's our turn, it might be easier." Qin Yun's team was the last to go on stage. At that time, the thunderstorm bear would definitely consume a lot of its strength and might even be injured. The thunderstorm bear they were facing would definitely not be in a good state. This was indeed a good thing for them. After all, there were only 4 of them. Facing the extremely poor condition of the thunderstorm bear, it could be considered fair. This made the other teams very unhappy. They felt as if they had made a wedding dress for someone else. An hour passed quickly and there was still a bit of time left. At this time, the captain of the 7th team began to coordinate and carry out the final attack. Their method of attack was the same as the previous 6 teams. A portion of them would attract the thunderstorm bear, and the other would attack fiercely. The few of them could only fiercely attack 10 times in one go. Team 7, complete 10 attacks. Dean Bai shouted, "Time's up." Team 7 has passed the examination. It had to be said that the performance of the 7th team was praised by the students. Their coordination was not bad and their timing was just right. After the students of the 7th team were brought back, their faces were filled with arrogance. Especially when they looked at the 2nd and 6th teams, their eyes were filled with contempt. Team 2 was a little better. At least they went up, but Team 6 didn't even dare to go up. Because of the success of the 7th team, they also learned from the 7th team's tactic. Although they were ruthlessly despised by the 7th team, as long as they could safely pass the examination, they didn't care too much. Team 9 has 16 people. If they can't even succeed after learning from our tactics, it can only mean that they are too useless. A student from Team 7 said. The captain of Team 7's thin face was filled with arrogance as he said, "The thunderstorm bear has also been exhausted by us. It must have been injured when we attacked it." He looked at Xie Wufeng and the others and sneered, "There are only 4 of you, so you don't have any tactics to learn from. So, you should just give up like Team 6. No one will laugh at you." Xie Wufeng just smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, we'll go through the 3rd round of assessment with you all." Huazhong took out a few 3-meter-long rods and distributed them to Qin Yun and company. He said with a smile, "This way we don't need to get too close to attack the thunderstorm bear. If you know how to use a whip, that would be even better. Dean Bai, if my hammer flies out and hits, does that count? Qin Yun asked. No, the weapon must be held in the hand. Dean Bai shook his head. He was also secretly worried about the team of 4. It didn't matter if they couldn't pass the test. What they were most afraid of was people dying. Soon, an hour passed, and the 9th team used the 7th team's strategy to successfully pass the test. It's our turn, let's go. Just as Xie Wufeng was about to leave, a blue-robed elder from Blue Spirit Star Palace suddenly flew over and shouted, "The last team is not allowed to use weapons." Why? Xie Wufeng asked angrily. The blue-robed elder said coldly, "Because the 2 colossal thunderstorm bears are weak, and they were injured before, so they are not in a good state. In order to ensure absolute fairness, you are forbidden from using weapons. This way, the difficulty of your assessment will be the same as the other teams." The captain of the 7th team laughed loudly. "That's right, I agree." The captain of the 9th team also nodded in support. Qin Yun and company, on the other hand, had faces full of anger. Dean Bai. Qin Yun expressed his dissatisfaction with the sudden change in the rules. The blue-robed elder said sternly, "If you don't agree, then we'll disqualify you. Our request is reasonable." "Let's go," Xie Wufeng said expressionlessly. Qin Yun and company had no choice but to walk out and face the colossal thunderstorm bear. These fellows from Blue Spirit Star Palace are clearly deliberately making things difficult for Qin Yun and company. Duan Qian, who was watching from halfway up the mountain, said angrily, "Nothing can be used. This is very difficult." Yang Shiyu's face was filled with worry as she sighed softly. "I hope they are all fine." "Nothing? It's already not bad that they didn't die. These 2 colossal thunderstorm bears are very good beast pets of Blue Spirit Star Palace." Master Wei sneered and said, "Because they entered a berserk state, they became evil beasts. In the future, they will gradually change back. Don't look at how they are injured now. Even a martial artist at the 8th level martial body might not be able to kill them." When Qin Yun walked into the valley, he saw many people watching from the surrounding mountains. His eyesight was very good. In an instant, Yang Shiyu, who was dressed in a blue dress, stood tall and elegant. She stood on a huge rock with a cold expression. When Yang Shiyu saw Qin Yun coming over, she smiled and nodded at him. Roar. When the colossal thunderstorm bear saw someone appear, it suddenly roared and charged over. Qin Yun used the falling rocks from the surrounding mountains. As long as you control them well, killing the giant bear won't be a problem, Xie Wufeng suddenly said in a deep voice. Mu Rongjun waved his sleeve and struck the eyes of the colossal thunderstorm bear, luring it away. Xie Wufeng and Mu Rongjun teamed up to deal with a giant bear. Huazhong picked up a large rock and threw it with great force. It ruthlessly smashed into the head of the colossal thunderstorm bear and also lured away a giant bear. It was just the beginning, but the valley was already extremely intense. Especially Xie Wufeng and Mu Rongjun, they were able to unleash extremely terrifying energy attacks from afar. In just a few moves, the eyes of the colossal thunderstorm bear had been blinded. This made the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace furious. As for Qin Yun, he also used his Qi explosion technique to launch a long-range attack. He ran and stopped, specifically striking the head of the colossal thunderstorm bear, causing it to roar again and again. It became even more furious and constantly spat out lightning fire. "Old Hua, I'll find a chance to attack the mountain wall later, and try my best to knock down the boulders. When the time comes, you can use the boulder as a weapon to smash the giant bear. Since Blue Spirit Star Palace is deliberately making things difficult for us, then these 2 colossal thunderstorm bears can forget about living," Qin Yun said to Huazhong with a deep voice. When Huazhong heard that, he immediately became excited and said happily, "All right, I'll listen to you. We're going to kill those 2 giant bears." On Xie Wufeng's side, He was also pondering how to kill the bear with Mu Rong Jun. Although they could attack the colossal thunderstorm bear from afar, they didn't attack it from close range, so it didn't count. When everyone saw the situation on the field, they knew that the four of them wouldn't die or be injured. This was because they were all extremely powerful and their overall qualities were outstanding. Now, it was time to see how they would attack the giant bear 10 times. Chapter 155. Fighting Dragon Claw. Huazhong sent out a wave of inner strength through the air, striking the colossal thunderstorm bear's leg. The giant bear roared in pain as it spat out waves of thunder and fire. Then, it charged at Huazhong with a furious roar. The captain of the 7th team gritted his teeth and said, "Dean Bai, isn't attacking the colossal thunderstorm bear from afar a violation of the rules?" Dean Bai replied, "It doesn't count. However, this move is not suitable for a large number of people, because if the colossal thunderstorm bear is angry, it will randomly attack, and there are too many of you. If you scatter, it will be easy to be hit." Furthermore, the colossal thunderstorm bear was blinded and it was not easy to control. The eyes of the 2 colossal thunderstorm bears on the field were injured. They flew around like flies, as if they had gone mad. When Master Wei saw Qin Yun come to the side of the mountain wall, he hurriedly shouted, "What is Qin Yun doing?" Everyone immediately looked at Qin Yun. They saw him condense 2 powerful forces in his palms and push them towards the mountain wall. Yang Shiyu exclaimed in a low voice, "It's the 10,000 horse palm, and the mountain shaking style." Indeed, Qin Yun combined the 10,000 horse palm and used the mountain shaking style on the mountain wall. He infused a very ferocious force into the mountain wall and an unending stream of vibration power. He even secretly used the sea howling technique and then used his vibrating inner force to create 3 shockwaves that struck the mountain wall. Zhuo Chuan said in surprise, "The mountain shaking style, such a difficult martial art, was actually learned by him to the small success stage and used the power of shaking mountains." Ho Xingfeng narrowed his eyes and said in surprise, "He seems to be using the tsunami technique. He can actually gather multiple martial arts and use them together." With Qin Yun's attack, the earth shook and the mountains shook. The huge stone mountain trembled violently as the mountain wall cracked and collapsed, causing huge rocks to fall down. He was also submerged by the falling boulders. When everyone saw this, they could not help but mock Qin Yun for smashing himself. Just when everyone thought that Qin Yun had been injured by the boulder suddenly moved. Then, with a loud boom sound, a boulder was blown apart. Qin Yun flew out from inside. "Old Hua, come and choose a stone," Qin Yun shouted anxiously. Then, he charged at the colossal thunderstorm bear and struck the bear's leg. After the colossal thunderstorm bear's leg was hit, a piece of black armor was sent flying and fell. The bear's leg was injured and its speed became even slower. Qin Yun continued to deal with the colossal thunderstorm bear to buy time for Huazhong. After Huazhong arrived at the pile of rocks, he immediately lifted a boulder that was more than 20 meters long and more than 10 meters wide. His brute force moved everyone present. Now, everyone could tell that Huazhong wanted to use a boulder to smash the thunderstorm bear. Qin Yun led the thunderstorm bear to Huazhong and shouted, "Throw it over, throw it accurately." "All right." Huazhong roared and threw the boulder over. Seeing the stone hurl over, everyone could not help but be alarmed. Someone shouted, "Aren't they afraid of smashing Qin Yun to death?" Just as this person finished speaking, he saw Qin Yun suddenly flash, and in an instant, he ran dozens of meters. The stone also landed on the colossal thunderstorm bear. Boom! The huge boulder smashed down and instantly shattered, causing the valley to shake violently. At the same time, there was a huge commotion on Xie Wufeng and Murong Daren's side. A huge rock fell from the mountain wall and landed on the body of the thunderstorm bear that was close to the mountain wall. The two thunderstorm bears had been smashed by the boulders. The valley was silent. Qin Yun's team of 4 had cleverly used the venue to heavily injure the thunderstorm bear. Roar. The bear's roar suddenly shook. The boulder that was suppressing the colossal thunderstorm bear was actually shattered. The colossal thunderstorm bear rushed out, its body covered in violent lightning. Although it was covered in wounds, its might did not seem to have diminished. Roar. The colossal thunderstorm bear on Xie Wufeng's side also broke through the pile of boulders and ran out. It was filled with anger as it spewed out lightning and charged at Murong Darren. An old man from Blue Spirit Star Palace sneered from the mountainside, "This is a Class 8 demonic beast. How can it be suppressed by a few rocks? You are too naive. Now that the giant bear is completely enraged, if you approach it, you will definitely be severely injured." Huazhong immediately lifted a 10-meter-long boulder and smashed it at the charging colossal thunderstorm bear. The colossal thunderstorm bear spat out a bolt of lightning at the incoming boulder, shattering it into many small rocks. The furious colossal thunderstorm bear was not as clumsy as before. It seemed to have suddenly gained intelligence. "Look up, it's the two old men with the beasts from before. What are they doing up there?" Murong Darren shouted. After Qin Yun dodged the colossal thunderstorm bear's lightning attack, he looked up into the sky. Indeed, he saw two old men from Blue Spirit Star Palace floating cross-legged in the sky above the valley. They were the ones who brought the colossal thunderstorm bear. They should be communicating with the colossal thunderstorm bear and using this method to control it. Xie Wufeng's face was also filled with anger. "This is too much. The colossal thunderstorm bear is not in a good condition. That's why it was beaten up by you in the beginning. The reason why we are doing this now is to make up for the advantage you took earlier." An old man from Blue Spirit Star Palace sneered. Your mouths are on your butts. You can fart however you want." Mu Rongjun said angrily. "You bunch of old things, remember this." Xie Wufeng said to Qin Yun, "No matter what, we have to kill a colossal thunderstorm bear." Qin Yun looked at Huazhong and asked coldly, "Old Hua, do you have any way to make the colossal thunderstorm bear unable to move for a short period of time?" "Yes. Leave it to me." After Huazhong finished speaking, he charged at the giant bear like an ox. A faint golden mist suddenly seeped out from the surface of his body, as though it was an air barrier. The colossal thunderstorm bear roared and spat out a bolt of lightning at Huazhong. Boom! After the lightning fire struck Huazhong, it was bounced off by the golden barrier on the surface of his body. Everyone was secretly surprised. They did not know what kind of martial skill he was using. Colossus art. Zhuochuan's pupils slightly contracted as he exclaimed in surprise. Is it the kind of cultivation technique that can create a very large illusory image? Ho Xingfeng was also very surprised. I thought this cultivation technique was extinct. Huazhong rushed over and collided with the colossal thunderstorm bear. The golden barrier around his body suddenly grew in size, turning into a pale golden illusory image that was a few meters tall. This illusory image was formed from a very strong Vajra inner force. Under Huazhong's control, the illusory image made a hugging motion and tightly hugged the colossal thunderstorm bear. The colossal thunderstorm bear was roaring crazily and struggling non-stop. However, it was unable to break free from the embrace of the golden inner force image. "Brother Yun, hurry!" Huazhong hurriedly shouted. Qin Yun rushed over and leaped up. One of his arms had turned into a gigantic lion claw. The tip of the claw was more than a meter long. What kind of cultivation technique is that? It must be a beast martial art. Duan Qian was shocked as he looked at Yang Shiryu. Yang Shiryu shook her head and said, "I've never seen him use this martial skill before." Chapter 156. Bear Slaughter. The Wind Slasher art was rather famous, so many people could recognize it. However, this was the first time they had seen the 6-style wind slasher art used a beast claw. They were all extremely surprised. Qin Yun was infuriated. Blue Spirit Star Palace had repeatedly made things difficult for them and increased the difficulty of their assessment. This was clearly bullying them. Go to hell. He was infuriated as he executed the 6-style wind slasher. An old man in the sky sensed that something was amiss and hurriedly shouted, "Stop!" However, the 6-style wind slasher had already been unleashed. 4 extremely sharp claw blades slashed down on the colossal thunderstorm bear's body. Walala! The tough outer armor of the colossal thunderstorm bear was easily sliced through. Black blood flowed out of the wound like a wave. Everyone was immediately shocked. In just a few moments, a large number of deep wounds appeared on the body of the colossal thunderstorm bear. Stop! Qin Yun ignored the voice and once again executed the 6-style wind slasher. He slashed at the colossal thunderstorm bear, which was covered in wounds, causing blood to spurt out. By the time the old man landed on the ground, the colossal thunderstorm bear had already been torn into many pieces by the heavenly lions fighting Dragon Claw. Looking at the fragments on the ground, everyone could not help but shiver. Although he could not use weapons, Qin Yun's lion claws were as terrifying as weapons. They were like 4 sharp blades. On the other side, the colossal thunderstorm bear was bound by Murong Daren's golden inner force threads, making it difficult for it to move. Xie Wufeng nimbly leaped over as a white light appeared in his palm. A cold sword qi overflowed as he slammed his palm towards the colossal thunderstorm bear's head. When his palm landed on the colossal thunderstorm bear's head, the white sword qi also pierced into the bear's head. The struggling and roaring colossal thunderstorm bear suddenly quietened down and fell to the ground. Murong Daren rushed over and punched the colossal thunderstorm bear 10 times. When Dean Bai saw the 2 giant bears fall, he was also alarmed. He shouted, "10th team, complete 10 attacks." There was still less than half of the hourglass at his feet, but the 2 thunderstorm bears in the valley were dead. Qin Yun's face was covered in blood. His expression was cold as he looked at the furious elder. He said with a sneer, "I'm sorry, your thunderstorm bear is too weak. I accidentally killed it. I'm truly sorry." These 2 8th-tier demonic beasts were not weak at all, but they were still killed. One of them was even chopped into pieces. Dean Bai hurriedly flew over to prevent the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace from attacking. You all better remember this." The old beast tamer was furious as he put away the thunderstorm bear's corpse. "You're the ones who should remember this. How dare you make things so difficult for us during the assessment? I will remember this debt. One day, I, Xie Wufeng, will make you pay back tenfold," Xie Wufeng said coldly. He released a majestic sword aura that carried a strong killing intent. It filled the air above the valley, causing many people in the martial Dao realm to feel fear. "You!" The old man was speechless. He was a martial artist at the 9th level martial body realm, yet he was frightened by Xie Wufeng. "Scram!" Xie Wufeng roared angrily as a cold glint flashed in his eyes. The oppressive sword aura caused the stones on the ground to tremble. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. Xie Wufeng had actually hidden such a terrifying power. It must have been because he was so angry that he couldn't suppress it. The old man from Blue Spirit Star Palace was so frightened that he hurriedly left. The churning wind and clouds above the valley gradually calmed down. Zhuochuan took a few deep breaths and exclaimed, "Xie Wufeng is indeed terrifying. How did he cultivate such a sword force? It seems like he is a sword fanatic." Ho Xingfeng frowned and said, "I really misjudged him back then. With his strength, I can definitely make an exception and accept him. It's as shocking as Qin Yun." Yang Shi Yu also heaved a sigh of relief. The lion claw that Qin Yun had just released still surprised her to this day. She understood martial arts very well and could tell that the lion claw was not an ordinary martial art. Dean Bai said loudly, Team 7, Team 9 and Team 10 have passed this round of examination. They will proceed to the third round of examination. In the third round of the examination, the Tianxian Martial School, the Star Xian Wu Academy and the Ling Xian Wu Academy will each send 2 martial artists at the 7th level of the martial body realm to compete with the other teams. Each team will be able to pass the examination after defeating the 2 martial artists assigned to them. The time limit is 2 hours. When Qin Yun heard this, he knew that the assessment was very disadvantageous to them. You will rest for 2 hours before you begin the third round of the examination, Dean Bai said. During the break, someone came to the middle of the valley to build a battling platform. They used huge stones to cut them into huge bricks and laid them in the middle, forming a huge square platform that was 100 meters wide. Dean Bai also took the opportunity to explain the rules to the students. After hearing the rules, Qin Yun was extremely vexed. The 4 of them were at the 6th level of the martial body realm. If they had to deal with 2 7th-level martial body realm cultivators, it could be said that they had no advantage over the other teams. There are 2 ways. The first is for your entire team to go up on stage and compete with 2 martial artists at the 7th level of the martial body realm. Defeat this 7th-level martial artist within 2 hours. The second method is for all of you to take turns to go up and compete with each other. If you can't beat them, then come down. Then, someone else will go up and fight. Through this method of taking turns to exhaust each other's internal energy. Only by winning can we pass the examination, so even if it's a draw, it's useless. After Xie Wufeng heard this, he said, "Let's choose the second method. We'll use the method of taking turns to fight against the 7th stage martial artist. Brother Yun, just like before, let's split up. I'll deal with second brother Murong, and you deal with third brother Hor." Alright. Qin Yun nodded. There were only 4 of them. If they were to fight 4 against 2 on the battling platform, their chances of winning would not be too high. The other teams were also discussing tactics at this time. 2 hours quickly passed. The people of the 7th team decided to engage in a team battle. More than 10 people stood on the battling platform. The 2 7th-level martial artists who were fighting against them were middle-aged men from the Star Xian Wu Academy. "Begin," Dean Bai shouted. From the very beginning, the battling platform was extremely chaotic. More than a dozen students at the 6th level besieged 2 middle-aged men at the 7th level. They could not use weapons, so everyone could only unleash waves of inner strength from afar. All sorts of colorful inner strength smashed towards the 2 middle-aged men at the 7th level martial body realm, exploding with waves of air waves. Xie Wufeng said, "The strength of the martial artists of the Star Xian Wu Academy is not bad. To be able to remain so calm after being besieged like this, they haven't even attacked yet." Huozhong shouted, "It's time to attack." The 2 martial artists at the 7th level of the martial body realm had agreed to attack together. The palm techniques they used were also the same. Many huge palm shadows suddenly appeared, like rolling black clouds. They surged over and forced the students of the 7th team to retreat. A few of them were also sent flying off the battling platform. As long as more than half of the people were on the battling platform, it would not be considered a loss. Not long after, the other students on the stage were also sent flying by waves of palm shadows. Chapter 157. Yukai Team 7 has failed. Team 9, come on stage, Dean Bai shouted. When it was time for the 9th team to go on stage, they chose to use the method of attrition. The 2 martial artists who were competing with the 9th team came from the Lin Xian Wu Academy. They were also middle-aged men as they lightly jumped onto the battling platform. There were 16 people in the 9th team. After discussing, they sent one of their team members up to compete with the 7th-level martial artist. This team member's strength was not bad. After enduring a few dozen moves, he ran off the battling platform and replaced someone else. The person who went up fought for another few dozen moves before coming down. After repeating this process for an hour, the 7th-level martial artist on the stage was finally defeated. However, Team 9 could not be happy because there was still a 7th-level martial artist waiting for them to exhaust. Team 7 from before felt endless regret in their hearts. They believed that if they used this method to compete, it was extremely likely that they would pass the examination. An hour later, the people of the 9th team actually knocked the 7th-level martial artist off the battling platform at the last critical moment and passed the 3rd round of examination. The people of the 9th team cheered crazily. They had successfully passed the 3 rounds of examination and could finally enter the Tianxian Martial School. Only the 10th team was waiting to go on stage. Qin Yun's 4-man team was facing a 7th-level martial artist from the Tianxian Martial School. Xie Wufeng said, "Second brother Murong and I will get rid of one first. The remaining one will depend on you and third brother Hua. Murong, you go." Murong Darren had already walked onto the battling platform. The 7th-level martial artist from the Tianxian Martial School was a middle-aged man in black. In this kind of competition, death and injury were allowed, so one had to be very careful. Murong Darren's movement technique was extremely good, and he was also very good at using inner strength to attack from afar. Right now, he did not approach the other party. He was always running around the edge of the battling platform. From time to time, he would release a stream of Vajra inner strength to attack the middle-aged man. He was mainly responsible for exhausting the middle-aged man's inner force. When it was about time, he would let Xie Wufeng go on stage. This would allow Xie Wufeng to clearly see the middle-aged man's path. "Brat, don't let me catch you or I'll kill you," the black-clothed middle-aged man shouted angrily. His speed was not as fast as Murong Darren's, so he could not catch up. "Hee, we'll talk about that after you catch me." Murong Darren laughed mockingly as he released a few more balls of inner strength. Just like that, he stayed on the stage for about half an hour before jumping off the stage. Xie Wufeng stepped onto the stage and used his single arm as a sword. In just a few moves, the middle-aged man was covered in sword scars. Not long after, he knocked the middle-aged man off the stage and obtained victory. When the people of the 7th group saw Xie Wufeng win so easily, they were even more jealous. It was because they chose the wrong method, otherwise they would definitely be able to pass this round of examination. A martial artist at the 7th-level martial body of the Tianxian Martial School had lost so quickly. This was very surprising. At that moment, everyone was able to tell that Xie Wufeng's strength was very strong. It seemed like he had yet to unleash his full strength. Next, Qin Yun and Hua Zhong only needed to defeat another 7th-level martial body cultivator to pass the assessment. Suddenly, many people floated down from the waist of the mountain and stood around the battle stage. No one knew why they suddenly came down. Among them, a man landed on the stage. He looked extremely young, around 18 years old. He was handsome and wore luxurious blue clothes. He had a golden crown on his head, and his eyebrows were sharp like swords. His eyes were filled with ice-cold arrogance. When he looked at Qin Yun, the corner of his mouth curled into a disdainful sneer. When Hua Zhong saw the man, his face was immediately filled with anger. He said in a deep voice, "He is Yu Kai from the Tianxian Martial School." Qin Yun knew that Hua Zhong was an honest and forthright big guy. However, he never knew anything about him, nor did he ask about him. Duan Qian came to Qin Yun's side and said in a low voice, "Yu Kai entered the Tianxian Martial School at the age of 14. He is now at the peak of the 7th-level martial body and possesses the explosion martial spirit. It is a very special legendary martial spirit that can easily detonate energy. It is extremely terrifying." Kai, you have to let those people understand what a powerful martial artist is, a blue-robed man said with a faint smile. The color of this blue-robed man's blue robe was actually the same as the few elders of the Star Palace. It could be seen that his status was very high. This man was standing beside Yang Shiryu, so Qin Yun carefully sized him up. He was very certain that this blue-robed man was the crown prince of the Tian Shao Empire, Xiao Yanglong. Xiao Yanglong was 30 years old, but he looked to be in his 20s. The blue robe he wore was very luxurious, and he wore a blue crystal crown on his head. He had 2 whiskers, thick eyebrows and a high nose. He looked very handsome. Xiao Yanglong also looked at Qin Yun. His eyes were filled with contempt, and there was also a hint of viciousness, as if he was issuing a warning. When Qin Yun came into contact with Xiao Yanglong's hostile gaze, he turned his head and looked at Yu Kai, who was on the battling platform. Yu Kai had a legendary martial spirit and was so young. He was a very strong 7th-level martial body cultivator. Now, he had been arranged to fight with Qin Yun's 4-man team. It was obvious that the Tianxian Martial School was determined to stop Qin Yun and company from entering the Star Xian Wu Academy. With so many people flying down, they must have come to watch Yu Kai's match. After all, he was an outstanding young elite. Old Hua, do you have enmity with Yu Kai? Xie Wufeng asked coldly. Yes, we cannot live under the same sky. Huazhong gritted his teeth and said, We must win. Xie Wufeng said coldly, Because the situation is special, we need to change our tactics. Second brother Murong and I will go up first, then you guys. Murong Daren and Xie Wufeng still had a certain amount of inner force, so they wanted to go up and exhaust Yu Kai. Hurry up, time waits for no one, Dean Bai said in a low voice. Murong Daren jumped up and, just like before, he used his movement technique and ran back and forth on the battling platform. However, before Murong Daren could run far, Yu Kai caught up. Yu Kai's movement technique was even more terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived beside Murong Daren. With a light wave of his sleeve, he condensed a 1-meter-wide ball of air and threw it at Murong Daren. Murong Daren had no time to dodge and was struck by the ball of air. Then, he was sent flying and crashed into a distant mountain wall. He was severely injured and his entire body was covered in blood. Guo Qing sneered. In the Tianxian Martial School below the 9th-level martial body realm, Yu Kai's movement technique is one of the best. Only Xiao Yuelan can compare to him. He actually wants to compete with Yu Kai in movement technique. He's courting death. Xiao Yanglong smiled slightly. In the last Xian-level Martial Arts Academy's 7th-level martial arts competition, Kai took first place. He can even fight against an 8th-level martial artist. Qin Yun came to Murong Daren's side and helped him put on the light inscription equipment. The other students were secretly surprised by Yu Kai's strength. Not only did he have a handsome appearance, his talent was also extremely high. At the age of 18, he was already at the peak of the 7th-level martial body realm. This meant that it was extremely possible for him to step into the 8th or even the 9th level under the age of 20. Young master, don't worry. I will definitely take care of Qin Yun. He actually dared to tarnish Yu Mei. Yu Kai sneered. I'll wait and see. Xiao Yanglong said indifferently. Yu Kai, a young expert with a limitless future, actually called him young master. The young students all looked at Xiao Yanglong with faces full of worship. Chapter 158. Blood feud. Mu Rongjun's injuries were very serious. Fortunately, he had a set of light pattern equipment and could be healed in time, so he quickly stabilized. Boss Xie, you have to be careful. Qin Yun patted Xie Wufeng on the shoulder. Ever since Huazhong saw Yu Kai appear, his eyes had turned red and his face was filled with anger. It was as if he was restraining his anger. The moment Xie Wufeng stepped onto the stage, he did the same as Mu Rongjun and used his movement technique to run around the battling platform. When Yu Kai saw this move again, he sneered and hurriedly chased after him. He sent out a ball of inner qi, and just as he was about to hit it, Xie Wufeng suddenly increased his speed. Boss Xie is so fast. Mu Rongjun, who was sitting on the ground, widened his eyes and said in surprise, "I've never seen his true strength." When Yu Kai saw that Xie Wufeng had purposely slowed down, causing his attack to miss, he felt that he had been teased. He could not help but feel infuriated. His cold and arrogant face turned incomparably cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Everyone says that a Kai's movement technique is extremely brilliant, yet he still recklessly wants to compete with him in movement technique. How laughable! Xiao Yanglong smiled disdainfully. Sure enough, Yu Kai's speed suddenly increased. In an instant, he had traveled over 100 meters and charged towards Xie Wufeng. He struck out with his palm, producing a rumbling explosion. Waves of inner qi shot out and continuously exploded, producing waves of shock waves that enveloped Xie Wufeng. Yu Kai's explosive inner force has finally appeared. When he releases his inner force and explodes it with his explosive martial spirit, it can produce a very strong shockwave. Guoqing smiled happily and said, "With Yu Kai here, the four of them won't be able to pass the assessment." Xie Wufeng was pushed back by the shockwaves and almost fell off the battling platform. His counterattack wasn't weak either. He didn't know how, but he managed to shake off all the shockwaves and even rebound them back. Yu Kai's hair was blown into a mess by the rebounding shockwave. He appeared to be in a sorry state and was even forced back a few steps. This made him even more furious. He was the strongest 7th-level martial body in the Black-level Martial Academy. He was actually beaten into such a sorry state by a 6th-level martial body. He felt that his dignity had been provoked. His body couldn't help but tremble as a wave of inner strength burst out from his body. The inner strength surged out like a gale and continued to explode. Shockwave after shockwave struck Xie Wufeng's body. Xie Wufeng's brows furrowed tightly as he used his remaining arm to punch forward to block the explosive wave of energy. Although he was able to block it, the sleeves on his arms were torn to shreds. Veins popped out on his slender arm as Vajra inner force gushed out to resist the shockwave. Everyone was secretly alarmed. The inner strength that Xie Wufeng had released was actually on par with Yu Kai, who was at the 7th-level martial body realm. This continued for a period of time, and Yu Kai also consumed a lot of inner force. His eyes revealed an ominous glint as he suddenly shouted and released the Vajra inner strength. The Vajra inner strength of the 7th-level martial body was definitely stronger than the 6th-level martial body. After it was released, it would even cause an explosion. Bang bang bang! For some reason, Xie Wufeng's arm suddenly exploded with a lot of internal strength. His arm also started to bleed, looking extremely terrifying. "Boss Xie, quickly come down!" Qin Yun hurriedly shouted. Xie Wufeng had fought a battle before, so he had already consumed a lot of his inner force. For him to be able to hold on for such a long time was already very good. Boom! Yu Kai released a large ball of inner strength, producing a huge explosion that caused Xie Wufeng to vomit blood and fly out of the battling platform. After Xie Wufeng came down, he took a few deep breaths and circulated his inner force to heal his injuries. He did not wear light inscription equipment like Murong Darren because he still planned to go up. After being knocked down, as long as he didn't eat pills or use external forces to heal his injuries, he would still be able to go up. For example, Murong Darren, after using light inscription equipment to heal his injuries, he was disqualified from the stage. "I'll go!" Huazhong gave a deep shout and walked onto the battling platform. "Stupid cow, long time no see." When Yu Kai saw Huazhong come up, he laughed out loud. "Yu Kai, you bastard!" Huazhong roared angrily. Yu Kai continued to laugh loudly before taking out a jade pendant. He said with a smile, "This is the ancestral treasure of your Hua family, the primordial spirit jade. Do you still remember? Back then, you gave it to your wife, but after your Hua family was annihilated by our Yu family, it fell into my hands." Haha, stupid cow, are you still thinking about revenge? Don't be silly, have you forgotten that before your wife died, she advised you not to take revenge? Because you are not my match at all. 5 years ago, I could have annihilated your entire family, let alone now. Oh right, your wife was really beautiful before she died. Beast, I will kill you. Huazhong's face was incomparably red as his veins bulged. Everyone could feel his anger. With boundless grief and anger, he charged at Yu Kai, as if he wanted to destroy Yu Kai at all costs. Yu Kai had annihilated an entire family, and yet he said it so calmly. This kind of murderous demon caused many people to secretly frown. Qin Yun stood below the battling platform and looked at the sorrowful and angry Huazhong. His heart was filled with incomparable rage as well. His expression gradually turned cold and gloomy. Old Hua. He clenched his fists tightly. Huazhong's strength was terrifying, but his speed was slightly slow. He was no match for Yu Kai. On the battling platform, Yu Kai laughed loudly as he dodged to and fro, dodging the rampaging Huazhong. Old Hua's Hua family is an aristocratic family in a small country. Later on, the small country was in chaos and many aristocratic families fought. The weak Hua family did not want to be involved and remained neutral. However, because they had the primordial spirit jade, they were targeted by the Yu clan. Thus Sai Mu Rong Jun sighed. Later on, this small country was taken in by the Tian Shao Empire. That's why Yu Kai followed Xiao Yanglong. Xiao Yanglong laughed. Ah Kai, the reason you borrowed this primordial spirit jade from me was to anger this person. How interesting! If you're done playing with him, then kill him. You have to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. When Qin Yun heard this, he wished he could tear Xiao Yanglong's mouth apart. At that moment, he could already tell what kind of person Xiao Yanglong was. Yu Kai struck Huazhong's back with his palm, causing him to fall to the ground. He said with a mocking smile, "Stupid cow, you can announce that you're giving up on this assessment. This way your team will lose. Otherwise I'll kill you." Huazhong was lying on the ground with Yu Kai stepping on his back. He was unable to leave the battling platform. "Old Hua, come down quickly." When Xie Wufeng heard this, his expression changed drastically. Whether or not he could enter the Star Xian Wu Academy was no longer important. What was important was that Huazhong could survive. From the looks of the current situation, Huazhong was unable to step down from the stage. If he continued to stay there, he would only die. Huazhong was filled with knowledge as he said angrily, "I won't admit defeat even if I die. Old Hua, quickly give up. We won't enter the Star Xian Wu Academy." Qin Yun also shouted, "As long as you live." He and Xie Wufeng were about to charge forward when they were stopped by Guo Qing and a few elders from the Tianxian Martial School. Chapter 159. Explosive power. Huazhong's waist was ruthlessly stepped on and his waist bone was broken. The pain caused him to let out a thunderous roar. "Qin Yun, don't go up. This will break the rules," Guo Qing said with a smile. He was extremely happy. "Dean Bai, we forfeit," Xie Wufeng said coldly. "Announce our defeat." "No, only those on the battling platform can forfeit," Xiao Yanglong said with a smile. "My Ah Kai is having such a good time, how can you disturb him?" Qin Yun clenched his fist and said angrily, "Guo Qing, Xiao Yanglong, you will definitely die in my hands. Just you wait." His words were like knives and his voice was bone-chilling and filled with incomparable resentment. "Haha, I'll be waiting." Xiao Yanglong laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke. Guo Qing also laughed out loud. You want to kill us? What big words! This is too laughable. Qin Yun closed his eyes and concentrated. He released all of the star energy in his mind and used the Imperial Spirit technique to envelop Huozhong's body. Stupid cow, I will trample you to death. Yu Kai laughed happily and raised his leg again. However, his foot missed. Because Huozhong was heavily injured, he suddenly slid quickly on the ground. In just a few blinks of an eye, he landed on the battling platform. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. Yang Shiyu looked at Qin Yun and saw that he was sweating profusely. His face was somewhat pale. Almost everyone looked at Qin Yun. When they saw his appearance, they knew that he had used an extremely terrifying mental force to lift Huozhong's body up slightly. Then, he quickly moved him off the battling platform. Such a powerful mental force was truly terrifying. Qin Yun. Just as Guocheng was about to flare up, Ho Xingfeng walked over and said, Qin Yun, even if you don't pass the examination, I can still let you and Xie Wufeng enter the Star Xian Wu Academy. However, Murong Darren and Huozhong cannot. Zhuchuan also came over and said, Qin Yun, you don't need to go up now to enter the Star Xian Wu Academy. If you were to compete with Yu Kai and suffer serious injuries and are unable to pass the examination, the Star Xian Wu Academy will not accept you. Ho Xingfeng nodded. Quickly make your decision. Yang Shiyu walked over and advised softly, Qin Yun, Yu Kai's methods are extremely brutal. You have to make a decision carefully. Huozhong was extremely weak. He looked at Qin Yun and said in a low voice, Brother Yun, it's fine as long as you and Ba Xie can enter the Star Xian Wu Academy. You don't have to care about me and second brother Murong. This bastard Yu Kai is really strong. Mu Rongjun smiled and said, Don't delay your future because of us too trash. Give up. Qin Yun, give up and go up. You're not Yu Kai's match. Duan Qian also advised, if your inner Yuan explodes, you'll really be finished. Kid, just listen to my advice. Principal Zhang also said. Qin Yun looked at Xie Wufeng. Xie Wufeng smiled faintly. If you want to go up, you must win. Everyone is slightly stunned. Everyone is advising Qin Yun not to go up, but this Ba Xie is actually encouraging him to go up. Qin Yun nodded, then with a vigorous leap, he jumped onto the stage. He actually went up. Everyone was moved. So many experts were advising him, yet he didn't listen and still wanted to go up. This would ruin his future. Yang Shiyu frowned slightly and sighed faintly. She could only watch from below. Brother Yun. Huozhong clenched his fists tightly. He knew that Qin Yun had gone up to help him take revenge. Ever since Qin Yun's spirit vein had been crippled, he had often been ridiculed as a trash with a spirit vein. Later on, because he became enemies with the Empress, no one was willing to be friends with him, and they all avoided him. However, when he came to the Three Mysterious Academy, he met Xie Wufeng, Huozhong and Murong Darren. The three of them were very good to him. From the beginning, he had never despised his spirit vein. This was a true friend that was worthy of him befriending. Therefore, no matter what, he had to use all his strength to fight Yu Kai. I just wanted you to come up and you really came up. You've been with that stupid cow for too long and you've become stupid, haven't you? Yu Kai laughed loudly as he charged forward. He struck out with a transparent dark force that struck at Qin Yun's abdomen. The moment Qin Yun came up, he was on guard. Using the flame cloud steps, he instantly ran dozens of meters away, avoiding the ball of dark energy. That ball of dark energy was the mysterious, explosive power that could detonate inner Yuan. He actually dodged it. Yu Kai was slightly alarmed as he attacked again. This time, Qin Yun used the Qi explosion technique from afar. Coupled with the tsunami technique, he sent out 3 shockwaves towards the rapidly approaching Yu Kai. The inner strength shockwave suddenly exploded. Bang! Bang! Yu Kai was forced to retreat. The gorgeous blue clothes on his body also cracked from the impact. This kind of inner strength that would explode when unleashed was what Yu Kai was best at. Qin Yun was actually able to use it as well. It's the Qi explosion technique and the tsunami technique, two Xian-level martial arts. Zhuo Chuan exclaimed, his martial arts talent is truly terrifying. He's actually able to use two Xian-level martial arts together. Isn't he afraid of going berserk and suffering a backlash from his inner force? When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. Not to mention two Xian-level martial arts, even if it was a high-level martial arts, it would still be very dangerous to use them together. However, Qin Yun seemed to be able to casually execute it. Xie Wufeng looked at the hourglass. There wasn't much time left. Only close combat could defeat Yu Kai, but once he got close, it would be extremely dangerous. Qin Yun looked at the hourglass and gritted his teeth. A burst of flames burst out from his feet and he instantly arrived in front of Yu Kai. This speed was close to Yu Kai's. Yang Shiyu's beautiful eyes flickered. She never expected Qin Yun to improve so much after she left the Hua Ling Wu Academy. When Yu Kai saw Qin Yun charging at him, he sneered in his heart and hurriedly circulated his explosive power. Roar! When Qin Yun went over, he suddenly roared. He used the Heavenly Lion's heavenly roar. A breathtaking lion's roar reverberated throughout the entire valley, causing Yu Kai to be stunned. Ah Kai, be careful! Xiao Yanglong shouted anxiously. While Yu Kai was distracted, Qin Yun released the Heavenly Lion fighting Dragon Claw. Then, he used the 6th-style Wind Slayer and swung his huge pale golden lion claws. Yu Kai came back to his senses and hastily dodged the frightening 6th-style Wind Slayer. He was very clear in his heart that if he was hit by the lion's claw, he would definitely be seriously injured. Even though he dodged, he was still struck on his upper body, leaving behind 3 deep bloody marks. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Yu Kai was thought to not be injured, but his upper body was almost cut into 3 pieces. One could see that under his deep incision, there were many faint golden threads. They were the Vajra meridians. If not for the fact that these meridians were connected and the bleeding stopped, a large amount of blood would have gushed out. Chapter 160. Sword Cultivator. When Qin Yun saw the explosive force coming at him, he hurriedly moved the dual elemental energies in his dantian and poured them into his left arm. His left arm was the arm of the Heavenly Lion. It was incomparably powerful and could accommodate 2 inner yuan. After completing the transfer of his elemental energy, he also felt a sharp pain in his abdomen, and a mist of blood actually burst out. At this moment, he also used his left arm to hack at Yu Kai with the 6th-style Wind Slayer's River style. Yu Kai was shocked and quickly dodged. However, his left arm and left shoulder were still hit. His shoulder and entire arm were cut into several pieces. The moment Qin Yun's abdomen burst into a bloody mist, everyone was stunned. Yang Shiyu bit her lower lip, her face full of pain. Ho Xingfeng, Zhuo Chuan, Din Zhang, Din Bai and the rest all had faces full of regret as they shook their heads and sighed. The thing they didn't want to see the most had finally happened. Although Master Wei and the others wanted to cheer, they saw that Yu Kai was also severely injured. Due to Xiao Yanglong's expression, they did not say anything and only rejoiced in their hearts. Qin Yun is lying on his back on the battle platform. His injuries are indeed severe. His abdomen has exploded and his internal organs are severely damaged. One of Yu Kai's arms and shoulder had been chopped off, and there were several deep wounds on his upper body that had not yet healed. Brother Yun, quickly come down. Xie Wufeng anxiously shouted. Qin Yun is unable to move, but his mental power is very strong. He released his mental power with all his might and supported his body to slide down the stage. Xie Wufeng hurriedly helped him put on the light pattern equipment. Yang Shi Yu also came over and infused her internal energy into Qin Yun's body, combing through his messy internal organs. She sighed and said, "Why are you doing this? Both my elemental energy and martial spirit are gone." Sigh. Zhuochuan came over to take a look inside. The Dantian has been detonated, and everything inside is gone. Ho Xingfeng's expression was grave as he sighed regretfully. Dean Ho, although Qin Yun is in such a situation, if we pass the examination, he can still enter the Star Xian Wu Academy, right? Xie Wufeng asked. That's right. However, there are regular examinations in the Star Xian Wu Academy. After he enters, if he is unable to pass, he will be invited to leave the Star Xian Wu Academy. Ho Xingfeng nodded. Xie Wufeng looked at Qin Yun and said, "I'll go up now and end this test. Don't worry, no matter what happens, you will always be our good brother." "Brother Yun, don't worry. Boss Xie will definitely win." Murong Darren smiled and held Qin Yun's hand tightly. "Brother Yun, even if I, Huazhong, die, I will never let you be bullied." When Qin Yun heard these words, he could not help but tear up as he nodded at them. This time, everyone thought that he had been crippled, but it wasn't like last time, when his 4 spiritual veins were crippled and he was alienated by everyone. Xie Wufeng walked up the stage and looked at the one-armed Yu Kai. He said coldly, "Do you still want to continue?" Xiao Yanglong's expression was incomparably cold as he shouted, "Ah Kai, explode his inner yuan. Although you lost an arm, your internal energy is very strong. Like you, he only has one arm. Furthermore, he was previously injured and exhausted. He's definitely not a match for you." Yu Kai had already taken his broken arm off the stage, because it could still be reattached. "Xie Wufeng, right? I won't kill you, but I will make you a cripple just like Qin Yun." Yu Kai laughed sinisterly. He was in a sorry state and was filled with anger. Yang Shi Yu channeled her inner force into Qin Yun and said softly, "I'm very happy for you to have such a good friend. Can you, Boss Xie, really win?" Qin Yun said with a smile, "I will definitely win." He knew that Xie Wufeng definitely had a backup plan. Therefore, when he went up on stage, he did not think of defeating Yu Kai. He only wanted to exhaust Yu Kai's stamina. Because this was a team battle, they needed to trust each other. Qin Yun looked at Xie Wufeng on the battling platform. Although he had lost an arm, the aura he exuded was extremely terrifying. Everyone's attention was on the stage. Even in the eyes of martial Dao realm experts, this martial arts competition shocked them. "Go be a cripple." Yu Kai laughed sinisterly as he charged forward. Xie Wufeng's expression was calm as a white light suddenly appeared on his palm. Following that, a sharp sword energy surged out. Boom! The white robes on Xie Wufeng's body suddenly shook as an extremely violent wave of air burst out from his body, blowing in all directions. This was actually an incomparably terrifying sword force. The people below the battling platform were all blown away by the sudden burst of sword force, causing their hair and clothes to dance wildly. The monstrous sword force caused the wind and clouds in the sky to surge, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. After Yu Kai rushed over, he was also frightened by the sword force. Just as he was about to attack, he saw the white light in Xie Wufeng's hand turn into a white sword. The white sword was as exquisite as if it was carved out of white jade. Xie Wufeng waved his sword and the sword shadows covered the sky, enveloping Yu Kai. Swish! Countless sword shadows swept past and Yu Kai immediately turned into many small pieces. Then, he turned into white gas and rose into the air. Yu Kai died just like that. Even a martial Dao realm expert was dumbstruck by this. And the sword in Xie Wufeng's hand shocked them the most. "You actually used a weapon to kill Ah Kai, I will kill you." Xiao Yanglong flew into a rage. Just as he flew forward, he was blasted away by Ho Xingfeng's shockwave. Ho Xingfeng had already arrived at the battling platform. He supported Xie Wufeng, whose face was as pale as paper. He sneered at Xiao Yanglong and said, "Look clearly, that's not a weapon." "Not a weapon? What is that?" Xiao Yanglong said angrily. His face was incomparably gloomy and his eyes were filled with killing intent. "Origin sword." Zhuochuan also walked up. "He is a sword cultivator. That is the origin sword that he cultivated." Sword cultivator? Many people had never heard of it and were discussing it. Qin Yun asked, "Teacher, what is a sword cultivator?" Yang Shiyu's face was also filled with shock as she said in a low voice, "It is an extremely terrifying existence. It is said that even in the martial desolate land, it is difficult to find such a terrifying sword cultivator. Because sword cultivators were too powerful, they were punished by the heavens and died a long time ago. I never expected that there would be a sword cultivator in this borderland." After Dean Bai recovered from his shock, he announced loudly, "Team 10 has passed the examination." The corner of Xiao Yanglong's eyes twitched as he looked angrily at Xie Wufeng. His fists were clenched so tightly that they creaked. He never expected that a sword cultivator would appear. Otherwise, he would have definitely made Yu Kai come down. He naturally knew about sword cultivators. He knew that Xie Wufeng was not using a weapon but a sword condensed from inner yuan. Yang Shiyu said in surprise, "It is said that the origin sword of a sword cultivator is at least a royal-grade spirit artifact. Some are even stronger and can reach the level of a Xian artifact. Although sword cultivators are so terrifying that they can be punished by the heavens, all sword cultivators have this as their goal. However, it is extremely difficult to become a true sword cultivator." Qin Yun looked at Xie Wufeng and was very happy. He actually had such a powerful friend. Chapter 161. Star Xian Wu Academy. Yang Shiryu looked at Qin Yun and sighed faintly. "With such a powerful friend, you won't be bullied in the future. They will definitely take good care of you. And I also have my own matters to attend to, so I can't always accompany you." "Teacher, don't worry. I will definitely rise again." Qin Yun smiled indifferently. Everyone saw that he was not sad because his inner yuan had exploded. It was very strange to be so optimistic, because no matter who it was, they would definitely not be able to laugh when encountering such a thing. Zhuochuan walked down and said, "Qin Yun, if you are chased out of the Star Xian Wu Academy in the future, come to my Divine Inscription Palace. With the knowledge you have, you can become a master of our Divine Inscription Palace. You can pass on the knowledge of Divine Inscription and nurture Inscription Masters." Qin Yun nodded with a smile. His injuries were much better and the gaping hole in his abdomen was gradually recovering. Because of the Xian Huang meridians, the speed of self-recovery was very fast. Everyone recalled that Qin Yun had mastered many high-grade spirit inscriptions. Just this alone would allow him to do well in the future. After Xiao Yanglong calmed down, his expression was incomparably cold. He hated Xie Wufeng and Qin Yun to the core because his outstanding subordinate had been killed. He walked to Qin Yun's side and took out a storage bracelet. He threw it at Qin Yun and said coldly, "Trash like you, don't even think about Yume anymore. You are not worthy of her. I'll return this lousy bracelet to you." Qin Yun had given Xiao Yume a storage bracelet. It could be said to be extremely precious, but it was now in Xiao Yanglong's hands. "What right do you have to take this bracelet from her?" Qin Yun took the storage bracelet and asked coldly. "Just because I'm her brother. With her talent, she should have married well, but now she has been ruined by you. Do you know how heavy the losses of our Tian Shao Empire are?" Xiao Yanglong said angrily. Then, he looked at Yang Shiryu and said coldly, "You stay away from him as well. You are my fiancé." Yang Shiryu's face darkened. She stood up and turned to fly away. Qin Yun was even more furious. Everyone could tell that Yang Shiyu did not like Xiao Yanglong at all. Earlier, when she was with Qin Yun, her expression was very gentle. However, when she was with Xiao Yanglong, her expression was always cold. Humph! Xiao Yanglong snorted and also flew away. Guocheng walked over and said with a sneer, Qin Yun, don't even think about fighting against Xiao Yanglong. Not only is he the honorary principal of our Tianxian martial school, he is also the crown prince of the Tian Shao Empire. He is also the chief disciple of the Star Palace's Western Palace and the future Palace Master of the Western Palace. And you only have a few high-grade spirit marks, your inner yuan and martial spirit are all gone, ha ha ha. Duke Yen walked over and said with a smile, Qin Yun, in about 3 to 4 months, the engagement ceremony between the Crown Prince and Xiao Yuelan will begin. Previously, you must have wanted to go there with your head held high, but now you have returned to the past. You are still that abject prince whose spiritual vein was extracted by me. Qin Yun looked on indifferently. After these people finished mocking him, he said, no matter what, I'm still alive and I've mastered high-grade spirit inscriptions. But what about your grandson, Yanqingyu? Has he woken up yet? Oh right, what about your precious granddaughter Yenyun? She was dead. None of your descendants are talented. What are you so smug about? The Duke of Yan's sore spot was immediately filled with anger as he left angrily. Qin Yun, who had put on the light inscription equipment, recovered very quickly. His face was still pale but he could already stand up. This caused many people to be secretly surprised. The person who had just exploded his elemental energy was actually able to walk as if nothing had happened. Furthermore, there was not a trace of sadness on his face. This kind of optimism was truly admirable. Xie Wufeng had expended a lot of energy to release his origin sword. Now, his legs were weak as he walked. If not for Ho Xingfeng injecting his inner force into him, he would have already fainted. Ho Xingfeng said, all of you have passed the examination. Welcome to our Star Xian Wu Academy students. As for the tuition fee, 1 million crystal coins a year. I can let you owe me for a year. Murong Darren shouted, so expensive, is it worth it? Ho Xingfeng said with a smile, it's definitely worth it. You'll know when you go in. For example, there are spirit pills every month and you can enter the Qi gathering formation. You can also buy many things that you can't buy outside. Also, there is the guidance of a famous teacher that can help you advance by leaps and bounds. Luo Ku of the Linxian Wu Academy said with a sneer, Old Ho, are you very disappointed that such a situation has occurred to Qin Yun? You are truly magnanimous. If it were me, I would definitely not accept a fellow like him. It would only affect the reputation of our academy and leave a stain on me. Qin Yun said with a sneer, Yanqingyu is from your Lingxian Wu Academy, right? You guys actually accepted a fellow like him who was crippled by me. It seems like your Lingxian Wu Academy has a lot of stains? Alright, what famous geniuses are there in the Lingxian Wu Academy? None, right? Luoku was so angry that his nose trembled. He coldly shouted, You crippled Yanqingyu and destroyed one of our outstanding geniuses. I will remember this debt. You are so angry for trash like Yanqingyu. You are quite magnanimous. Aren't you afraid of affecting your reputation? Qin Yun chuckled. You. Luoku was so angry that he was at a loss for words. Then, he turned around and left. The people in the valley gradually dispersed. Today's final examination of the Three Mysterious Academy would also spread in all directions. The valley was filled with devastation. Dean Bai sighed with emotion. After all, he had stayed here for many years. The sky was very red. The 9 suns were setting in the west, blooming with a poignant and beautiful sunset glow. It was as if they were feeling sad for the end of the Three Mysterious Academy. Let's go, I'll take you to the Star Xian Wu Academy. Ho Xingfeng took out a large carriage. After Qin Yun and company boarded, the carriage floated up and shuttled through the red sky towards the Star Xian Wu Academy. The Star Xian Wu Academy was not located in any country, but it was also close to the Cloud Dragon mountain range. It was located in the Myriad Star Lake near the Cloud Dragon mountain range. The Myriad Star Lake was extremely huge. The surface of the lake was like a mirror. In the starry night, the mirror-like lake would also be dotted with starlight, which was why it got its name. In the middle of the Myriad Star Lake, there was a large island. It was said that it wouldn't be a problem to build a few cities on it. The Star Xian Wu Academy was built on this island. The Star Xian Wu Academy was surrounded by thick high walls. The scenery inside was beautiful, the buildings were classical and elegant, there were many gardens and pavilions, and the environment was pleasant. There were also huge buildings that could accommodate many people. For example, a circular arena that could accommodate tens of thousands of people. The spectator stands inside were like terraced fields, and the martial arts arena below was also a few hundred meters wide, allowing one to use all their hands and feet to fight. Qin Yun and company were applying for their identity tokens at the entrance. Looking at the interior of the Star Xian Wu Academy, they could not help but feel excited. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.